Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
We want to focus on the things that have made us good all year long, an intensity that they can't match. And the other thing is the ultimate disrespect is when somebody takes what's yours. And this is our game, so that makes it so personal. Dominate on three. 1, 2, 3, dominate. I need 60 minutes. 60 minutes to me. 60 minutes. No business, no mercy. Nothing but stop bubble. You got me. We're going to ring the bell. We're going to ring that championship bell. Ding, motherfucking dog.
Here comes the pressure. Penix fires over the middle, and it is intercepted. Mikey Sanders still going the other way.
The legend of Mike Sanders still continues to grow.
JJ takes the snap, flips the ball to Roman Wilson after he takes a knee, and Michigan, the Wolverines, have won a national championship.
First and goal. Mahomes flings it. It's there! Hardman! Jackpot, Kansas City!
This was the Andy Reid special we talked about. He was saving all day. He's going to fake a motion to go across. And at that moment, he turns and goes back Hardman, who they didn't have, right?
On this touchdown throw to Mecole Hardman, who started the season as a Jet.
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
Last week we said in the locker room, nobody but the guys in that locker room knew how good this group can be. Now the whole damn country knows how good they are.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, Huddle Up Podcast. It is Tuesday, December the 10th, 2024. We're glad to be back with you. And you know what amazes me? Every week when I hear that clip, I forget the little subtle Super Bowl that Tony Romo throws in there on that clip. It gets me every week. It really does. But we hope you're doing well. If you are with us live, give us a like, give us a share, interact with us in the comments. We would certainly appreciate that. You can get us on all of our social channels. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, and TikTok, at least while it lasts, at Huddle Up Podcast. And we are on Instagram at Huddle Up Podcast Inc. We are on Twitch at Huddle Up Inc. You can also grab your Huddle Up merchandise over at our T Public store. We would certainly appreciate the support. Plenty of sales still going on throughout the holiday season. If you check in on it today and there's no sales today, well, check back tomorrow. But either way, grab the merch. We would certainly appreciate that as well. And no Matt tonight, but the rest of the crew is here. And I will start next to me. Mikey B, how we doing this week?
Real good. Real good. We are 15 days away from Christmas. I have no idea how the fuck we got here.
Bro,
I will tell you this much. If I am as drunk as both college football and NFL officials are on Christmas Day, then I've succeeded.
Yes,
you're also not driving.
Well,
correct.
At least hopefully, right? At least hopefully.
No, God, no.
Ernest DJ Christian, how we doing this week?
I'm doing all right. You know, I'm waiting for this season, at least for the Giants fan, to end. This nightmare is almost over. Thank God, 4 more weeks to go. This continue to tank, man. It was weird watching the game on Sunday and cheering for Graham Gano to miss that field goal, and he did, obviously. So,
I mean, obviously, you would root for the Giants to miss. Your wife's a Satan fan. It's not like you're a Giant fan.
Well, that too. Also, those extra benefit of that as well, too. On top of that,
that is true.
Yeah, to make her happy as well. So two for price of one.
That is true. Yeah, at least you have a team that knows how to lose properly.
This is true.
Student of the game, Kyle Nash. How we doing this week?
Is that a shot at me covering the Jacksonville Jaguars this past Sunday for the Duval dive? You mean winning when you should be losing with the lowest point total in frickin' league in the league this season? By the way, is it really blaming the Jags, or is it the fact that the Titans are that bad? I don't know. But we tried to warn the General Mike Padden about Will Levis being bad, but he wouldn't listen. By the way, Jim, I appreciate you saying, "Oh, it gets me every time" with the Super Bowl thing, because you know what gets me every time? You having sent me a bell a number of years back, or excuse me, months back, and now the intro in that season being "Ding, mother king dog."
I mean, that along with the, I guess, shot at the Jaguars, both unintentional. But if the shoe fits, then we will wear it.
I'm putting both them shoes on, is what I'm telling you, Big Jim.
There we go. Devin,
I locked that up last week. Sorry, Kyle. I locked that up that Mac Jones would win last week. That's my fault.
Hey, no, listen, I think it's hilarious. Travis D. Holmes, you may need to check on him. Read some of the stuff on Big Cat Country he has. You'll see the bitter.
Sean, how we doing this week?
Oh, we're doing good. Unfortunately, the Florida winter has come and gone.
Right.
Welcome to spring. It's good to see the flowers in bloom. Get some warm weather outside. I don't wear my knit hat this week. It's very exciting. And hey, birds are in the playoffs. So I had that going at the end of the week. And
it really is a green Christmas for you.
It
then,
really
Sean.
is. And shortly after clinching that, found out that minus the one dynasty league that I've tanked on purpose, I have made the fantasy playoffs in 5 out of 6. And that ain't bad.
Hey.
Although Sean supposedly is in the cold front coming on Thursday, supposedly.
Allegedly.
I'll
Excuse me. May I please have Jim Rome, Jim?
Yes.
Allegedly.
Thank you.
Cold front, what's good? Is it got like in the 60s down there?
Meteorologist Ernest Christian.
Overnight,
74.
Yeah, overnight last week it got down into the high 30s, which was.
I'm about to say that. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, it got pretty cold. But it was down in the 40s most nights.
You guys are more north, so for listeners of the podcast, you guys are a little more north. So you'll get more close to actual winter weather,
and you're closer to the water. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
course, Earth science.
Yeah,
yes, we
all
get
that.
it.
Climate change. We're drowning.
Wait,
boom, boom.
Wait, the Earth has a climate? I thought it was just flat.
Oh no. Anyway.
Well, there's different parts of the table get different amounts of light there. Mike, it's just
allegedly
the lights in one corner, the other side's colder.
Well, I mean, honestly, when I'm sitting at the table, it all has an equal shadow while I'm trying to eat whatever's on said table.
That's a great point. Yeah.
See, I was going to make a fat joke. That just felt inappropriate, though.
Fire away, Kyle.
Fat.
I mean, as the worst diabetic at the table right now, I feel like I should have license. That's a good point.
Actually, I don't know who's worse. You and I, we're neck and neck, brother.
No, you haven't seen my numbers lately. Trust me.
Kyle has a neck. You don't.
Jeez.
Wow.
Gosh.
Well, we long seen.
I gotta have beer tonight.
No, but he's right though. You do have a neck. You are right.
Man,
God,
shots fired.
So anyway, as I was saying, I'm fine.
Where's your neck, Sean?
I wasn't ready.
Doing great. At least I'm not the butt of those jokes, and I got that going for me. So
there we go. All right. Whew.
Hey,
right.
Jim, before you start, who's that in that shirt?
The Rock. Jingle Bell Rock.
I think it was the Rock.
It's Jingle Bell Rock, EJ.
That's what I thought. I didn't see the.
It doesn't matter what you think, EJ Christian.
Yes.
Jim, how was your weekend?
It was and it was good. It was good. The Monday night could have been better.
That was funny.
They just find new creative ways to suck. Like
it was a Jim Mike goal.
It's just where it's at, man. Although they are back down to the number 12 pick, I think.
13.
So hopefully, I saw 12. I'll take my Cowboys beat writer sources over a guy in a security van. But hey, 12 or 13.
Hey, look, listen, Kumsi, Kumsa, whatever.
They just have to keep losing. God bless you. All right, let's get to it. We'll go back to this week. We skipped over last week. Obviously, heavy discussion going into conference championship weekend, playoff rankings of what it was. But we will look back at the weekend that was and figure out what we learned this past weekend. So, Mikey B, I'll start with you this week. What did you learn this past weekend?
I learned, if one thing is for sure, maybe Quinn Ewers shouldn't come out in the NFL draft. Maybe he should stay in college. Not necessarily that he'd be a member of the Texas Longhorns anymore, because I believe Arch Manning will have that job. But there were pieces of that game where Quinn Ewers looked like he was in a sophomore mentality.
Not great, Bob.
Yeah,
Fewer for Ewers, if you will.
Yeah, that game was weird, man. The first half sucked. I don't care how anyone wants to try and jazz it up.
Out loud.
Second half, I mean, at least there was points. I don't know that it was much better than the first half, but yeah, it was a very weird SEC title game. But
Second half was definitely a lot weirder with the Carson Beck injury, and I know we'll probably chip away at that here in a little while. But yeah, that's a big issue.
Yeah, 100%. But
that might be good to help them to that. Hopefully.
We will see. We'll see. Couple of weeks there. EJ, what did you learn this past weekend?
I learned once again that the Kansas City Chiefs are breaking everyone's brain, and I get it. I totally get it.
Okay.
No, Kyle.
Amend the statement.
Kyle,
It's
let me
already
finish,
false.
please.
We've
I don't care.
explored
You
why
can
it's
jump in
false
when I'm
already.
done talking about this.
And yes, you're raising your voice, being busted for
you
more
can wait till I'm
falsehood.
done talking, Kyle.
No, there's no falsehood here. You keep saying everyone. I had this team explained 2 years ago.
Okay, you can explain when I'm done. Thank you.
No. I mean, you tell the truth. I had it. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
You get a little too close there. Careful. No, and look, I get it. What they're doing is weird, and I get it. The 12-1, and what was it now? A plus 52.
58, I think, is their point differential.
It's odd. I get it, and yet, I don't want people to misconstrue the fact that if these fuckers somehow in the next 4 weeks figure it out, and someone with repeat, now what?
11 minutes and 55 seconds for the first F-bomb.
Thank you.
Yeah, can we also have the conversation that
too,
if they had the luck of the Cincinnati Bengals, they'd have the first overall pick in the draft?
Or do
we just want to forget about that?
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that what they're doing is not to be criticized. I'm just saying
something championship pedigree, something.
It's just look, they are absolutely beatable, and they might look. I'm betting the field at this point, but I'm just saying, don't get okey doked again to where these motherfuckers are gonna lose, and then next thing you know, after we saw last year against the Raiders on Christmas Day, the bottom, this is the bottom. They're gonna lose in the playoffs, and what happens? Win a Super Bowl.
Who you're betting. Don't take the field, you coward, because I want to make sure that I can bet on someone that isn't the Chiefs.
I will do what I fucking
want. You're reverse
want,
psychologying everyone.
I will do the fuck I want.
But I mean, also, like, I don't know what like bad faith sports, analysts you're listening to. I don't think anybody on this panel is sitting here saying the Chiefs are not that the Chiefs are not going to at least go deep into the playoffs. What everybody is saying is that this team, yes, very good defensively, but is also at least many times. I mean, the biggest shoe worn by a tight end in NFL history got Isaiah Likely out of bounds. The dumbest bounce I've ever seen off of an upright gets a win this past week. So there's a degree of luck there. I don't think it's a matter of
Jim, here's what you're missing about what you're saying there. I am not disagreeing with you. You're one.
I know. I'm just letting you know that
I'm just saying that we're getting what the fuck, and be careful.
Yeah, they're getting lucky against shit-ass teams. They played a good team and got boat raced on the road.
I know.
It's easy to get lucky against Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, who gives a shit playing quarterback for the Raiders.
I get it.
It's easy to beat the Chiefs. It's easy to beat the Chargers when their starting running back isn't playing and Gus Edwards runs for -4 yards in an entire football game because of how good the fucking Chiefs defense is.
Right.
At the end of the day, guess what, Cinderella? The clock's going to strike midnight and their luck's going to run out. You know what is going to happen when they're on the road in a playoff game and they're not fucking tucked into their own goddamn bed? They're going to get boat raced again.
Here's the question, though. When would that clock run out? When that luck run out? Would it run out?
Opening round of the playoffs when they get absolutely boat raced by either Baltimore or Pittsburgh.
What road playoff game are they playing?
Joke's on you. They're going to have a bye.
Right. And then and right now they're 2 up in the wild. Right now,
Okay, and okay, even better when they lose to divisional rival Bo Nix at home, and then we can stop talking about how great they fucking are every fucking year because
the Denver Broncos.
they play in a shit division and can go 11-1 every fucking season.
I feel like you're more wish casting this at this point than anything else.
I'm like with you to an extent, Mike, but there's also like one thing we're not talking about is like it's an unpredictability piece here. You saw it against the Chargers. In addition to the defense, you saw what Isaiah Pacheco is starting to put together. We're getting the wheels under him. I think he's going to help. You have the unpredictability of potentially a Hollywood Brown joining the offense, entering a playoff run. And the team's going to be getting healthier. Now, if everybody else stays healthy around that, that can change the dynamic a bit. But I mean, if you can add one weapon that works, and if that weapon's Pacheco, then you run the ball.
They added a weapon that they said was going to work. It was DeAndre Hopkins, and the offense still can't figure it the fuck out.
Well, I mean, that's an old busted weapon.
I mean, he did score this.
But you're telling me a busted up Isaiah Pacheco who's been hurt is the piece, or you're telling me that a hurt Hollywood Brown is the hurt no matter what? Hurt is hurt.
The starting running back you referred to from the Chargers was a formerly beat up running back piece that found a way to stay healthy. He doesn't have to stay healthy for a full season. We're talking about like a 6-game run with a week off. So, like, I don't think it's unrealistic to think that Pacheco is going to uplift, especially when he's going to get to split time with what seemingly is a very effective Kareem Hunt for his age. I'm shocked that it's lasted this long, but he still looks good. He's got a burst. And being able to take that pressure off with Pacheco, I'm not saying it's an answer. And yes, they're still faltering and things don't look great.
Right.
The optics, so to speak, are not good.
Well, here we go.
But there is I just wanted to use it before he.
Sunshine State, baby. Let's go.
I said it with a derogatory tone, EJ.
I can't.
Although I don't. You just hit a show that I called you.
But my point is, like, I'm a devil's advocate here for you, Mike. It's just that it's. I'm with you. I understand that the issue's there. I've been talking. I've had them lower than all the other, what we call the tier 1 teams for weeks now, and rightly so. It doesn't look great.
And rightly so.
But I mean. I feel like there's a part of it, like the Andy Reid special, is just like these games don't actually matter. As long as we can get out, once we're there and we have one game to prepare for and we have 2 weeks to do it, good luck.
I mean, if I may, as much as
I don't think they're as good as the other teams up there, but there is a surprise coming maybe.
You're right. No, I hear. Listen, there's a lot of truth here, and no disrespect, Byrne, but like I feel like there's an element of Homer bitter. In some of your takes, and you're right to have them. I'm not knocking that. Really, at the end of the day, all I want is for Jim to reach over on that production board and give me my Lucifer Morningstar once again for this team.
You love being right, don't you?
I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen.
It was 2 goddamn years ago.
If you were ever right, you would too.
Calm your ass down. Calm your ass down, bitch.
I mean, hold on.
Hold on. I just want to land the plane. 2 years ago, I told you this Chiefs team was defensive in nature.
Correct.
If you are all here just to shit on their offense, that's cool. But can somebody please give Chris Jones a little bit of respect? Thank you.
I don't think that's the issue.
It's absolutely the fucking issue, EJ Christian. Guess all anybody talks about. You tried to omit it from the point you made yourself. So shut your ass. Okay.
It's less about. But it's less. It's less about the defensive stuff. I think we all acknowledge that now. It's the luck, as Mike said.
We really don't.
No,
but
it's the luck though. A lot of it's the luck. I agree.
I led the portion of the conversation that said that their defense held Gus Edwards to like -7 rushing yards because that's what their defenses does. And to be fair, I don't have any hometown bitterism in me because at this point, I want them to keep winning because you want to know why? That would just prove me right that Joe Burrow is the only quarterback that can go into Arrowhead and make Patrick Mahomes look fucking human. So at the end of the day, let him win another one for all I give a shit. It makes my quarterback look like the best quarterback in football, not named Patrick Mahomes.
So
here we
angry.
are. Because I'm sick and tired of listening to people sit here and make up excuse after excuse.
Whoa. But again, you're missing the point. I never said that though. I never made.
But for the first 10 fucking weeks, we had to hear you talk about championship pedigree. It wasn't the fact that the defense is playing out of its fucking mind, to Kyle's defense, because Kyle's been saying that for fucking multiple years. I've been on it the entire fucking season this year. Guess what? Patrick Mahomes doesn't deserve to be in the top 5 of the MVP race.
I agree.
He deserves to be like a top 10 fucking quarterback in the NFL because their offense has been shit.
Funny, because I agree with you on that, but Mr. Kyle Nash does not agree with you on that.
Bullshit, asshole! Play the tape.
You haven't
the fucking board.
5. You talking about my podcast? Top 5.
Yes, on your podcast,
He's not
earnestly,
top 5.
earnestly speaking,
So
because
you're lying?
apparently
So
I'm
you're
not.
lying? Wait, so you're lying?
What was it?
So now
It
you're
was
lying?
Josh Allen. Shut the fuck up. It was
Fuck
Josh
you.
Allen. It was TJ Watt. It was Chris Jones. And it was Saquon Barkley. And then what was it at 5? Maybe I crowbarred Mahomes in at that point. I don't remember. But if you don't want to put him top 5, I'm sure as fuck not mad about it, as you would once again falsely implicate.
You say
Just like everybody's confused about the Chiefs.
Brother,
Shut up, please. I've been confused about the Chiefs in a minute. You keep picking them up. And now I'm going to talk fast like I'm a Gilmore Girl and try to out-talk somebody who's double your size. What is this, Fox News? Trump won. Why are you bitching?
You said it, not me.
Carol.
Where have we gone?
You know, we said over under.
I don't know, but I should have brought
top 5, not me.
You took the over.
Yeah, I didn't bring enough snacks for this.
Yeah, I was about to say, who's the one smiling here? It's me. You big man.
Carol said over under 2.5 arguments for the entire podcast.
Wait,
Snap took the over. We smashed that at the 20-minute.
Alexa, add popcorn to shopping list.
Hey, listen, in good spirit, Jim, can you please put beer on there as well?
Well, yeah. Beer's always on there.
That's just an auto renew.
You never cross beer. You never cross beer off.
When the shipment comes, there's just beer in it.
But I agree with Mike here for once, and only once, that Mahomes is not top 5. I mean, he should be. He should not be. I've been saying it for weeks.
So wait, welcome to reality. Pro Chiefs or anti Chiefs? I don't remember.
Say it again.
He doesn't either. What the fuck?
Well, me?
Yeah, are you saying the Chiefs are here to stay, or are you saying the Chiefs are falling apart?
No,
I broke people's brain. Which
I'm saying
in the last 8 minutes.
I'm saying I get why. I totally get it. They're fucking frustrating. I totally get it. And they're the luckiest fucking. Look, I don't know if you guys seen the memes last couple of days though, but I think they really sold the Satan.
I mean, there is something to say, AJ, with the fact that there is the argument to make. Mike's making obviously for us, and that a lot of folks are saying, and we're all kind of defending a good portion of what Mike's saying.
Absolutely.
But the fact that that's all happened, I think what EJ's saying is, here we are.
Yeah,
like again, they're in the driver's seat, and they're AFC West champs. And is it the defense that Kyle talks about? Yes. Is it luck? Yes.
It's all those
Does Mahomes have a few moments this year where he pulled something out of his back pocket? Yeah.
Also, yes. Yeah.
Is Andy Reid still like minute for minute the best coach in the NFL? Probably. So like all of these things in play, when it's those close games, things are going to bounce your way.
Right.
I don't see a reason. It's hard to imagine how it's going to stop. But let's get one of these good teams in there and slap them in the mouth.
Right.
So what we're saying is on December 10th that the 2024 Kansas City Chiefs are the Clemson Tigers. They play in a shit fucking conference. They have a great fucking coach. They have a good defense, and they're going to find a way to fucking
playoff teams.
I don't go that far.
They're in a division with 3 teams currently
tracking.
So are the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Raiders suck.
Yeah, but your guys are at the bottom of yours.
I agree with
but nobody's going to call the AFC North a shitty division.
I agree with the spirit of your statement, but in a world where the AFC East and South both exist, I can't sign off. But I like where you're going.
As a conference, it's bad. I don't know that every single one of them has played the Chiefs,
it's
but
top heavy.
The Chiefs have to play 4 games against the Broncos and the
right. And I mean, here's the thing: like the Broncos are overachieving this year. The Chargers are overachieving this year.
Yep.
Both in part to they are better teams than they were a year ago, better coached than they were a year ago, at least especially in the Chargers case, because I know Peyton was in Denver last year, but now the situation has changed with a different quarterback and a different lineup. But the AFC down a little bit overall, so that has helped those teams rise up. But yeah, I mean, again, like, and we'll wrap this thought just because we've probably already gone too far on it.
Thank you, Jay. The
Bengal, the Chiefs, they have played
content.
Falcons, Saints, Niners. No offense, Kyle. Raiders.
None taken, homie.
Buccaneers, Panthers, Raiders. So like, the road has been easy. They haven't been impressive in any of those. Well, I'm sure we're going to spend plenty of time over the course of the rest of this show talking about resumes. So we will leave the Chiefs here. Student of the game, Kyle Nash, what did you learn this past weekend?
I'm glad that you flirted with the key difference between the AFC West and the ACC, as Mike brings it up. The Broncos and the Chargers might be arguably belonging in the playoffs. Anyways, what I'm about to learn is that I can teach people still despite being a student. For all the people that tell me that I'm a Notre Dame hater, I can guarantee you very soon, gentlemen, that I am going to be screaming "Go Irish" from the top of my lungs as I watch the upcoming playoff game that they are to participate in.
Oh.
Because if you can't save us from the Hoosiers, you deserve shit talked upon you. Holla at your boy.
Holla at your boy.
We have officially gone A, crazy, and B, full circle on this show, which is impressive. Not everybody can do. Devin says this show has officially went off the rails. It sure has. We have a comment here. I love this show. It is the perfect evolution of beard growth. And
is that a reference to all the different beards?
Yeah, I mean there's a whole variety of.
This is just me being lazy. This isn't a true beard.
On this, but I think that's the point. Is that there's
Kyle's a keeper though, buddy.
You're stage 1. We got a stage 2. Works their way up.
I see the logic.
Mine's also lazy. My laziness is just much longer. It's just.
What you mean you've done it for more? Is that?
Oh, this needs trim. Like it's a hot mess. It's everywhere.
Is it more days longer or the hair longer? I didn't know which reference you were going.
Yes.
Little column A, little column B.
Where's Jim's Fu Manchu coming from?
It's been a while. Break it out again eventually.
Nice.
I'm sure. Sean, what did you learn this past weekend?
Well, I mean, I go in depth on a lot of things, but I'm going to instead go with I learned several small things. I learned one that the animated NFL games are still a good time.
I missed a
Shouts to me the times
the Simpsons are still far more entertaining than Pixar. But yeah, no, man, it was fun. I watched like maybe the second half of it, and I was having a good time.
In on it a little bit.
I saw Devin chiming in there. Devin, I did catch it, and some Homer Simpson interceptions and a near Millhouse fumble. I caught that, and it was just really well done. I even thought the announcers did a great job. Millhouse had a fumble that was ruled incomplete, and they were like, Millhouse avoids embarrassment until tomorrow. I thought that was like a really great moment. And the highlight of the whole thing, if you missed it, was Sideshow Bob with a sign that said "Tie Bart Tie," and I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
That is genius.
So
let's give Lisa her props there, Sean.
Well, Lisa was good. Man. Lisa corrected the grammar on a "How about them Cowboys" sign. I thought that was perfect.
Oh.
So I was having a real great time, and it's nice to know that Bart gets to eat Homer's dessert for a month. So that's right. So I learned that. I also learned a surprise statistic. Me and my point differential while I was ranking my top 10, bottom 5 this week. I realized that, yes, there are people at the top with a point differential that's very small, but there's also the exact opposite. I learned that the San Francisco 49ers, currently the 20th best team according to the overall rankings, record of 6-7, have a point differential of 0.
Really?
Wow.
I did not know that. And the Cincinnati Bengals right behind them at 5-8, point differential +2.
0.
So the Cincinnati Bengals with a point differential of +2, only 50 points behind Patty Mahomes, and
1-7 1-7 in one-score games. Woo.
The exact opposite of the Kansas City Chiefs. Just right there it is. But yeah, so that was a surprise statistic. And finally, the other thing that I learned, and we'll probably touch on it later. More on this later. The automatic bids, not necessarily problem. The automatic top 4, major problem. All of the roads that seem easy and all the roads that seem hard, all the debates that are going on, I think a lot of it has to do with that, oh, man, these guys have to be 3 and 4. And it just causes a problem with a bottom-heavy 12, and all of these situations arise. Yeah. So I think while we will touch on that later, I think that's something that I learned.
Yeah, we will certainly get there. Similar, 2 quick ones for me. Won't spend a lot of time on them. I learned that Raheem Morris is making a huge mistake by sticking with Kirk Cousins.
Agreed.
It's time, man. It's 4 games, no touchdowns, multiple interceptions.
8.
Take a hike. It's time for Mike. Woo!
8 interceptions, and you have gone from driver's seat in the NFC South to second place in the NFC South.
The Penix is mightier.
That's quite the sword you drew there.
I like that.
I like the Penix mightier. Just that's fine. The Penix.
But the other thing that I learned.
I see what I see what the evil twin is doing. Let's not gloss that over. I see you sneaking that in there. Also, what she said. Moving on.
The other thing that I learned and we're certainly going to talk about it here shortly, is Alabama and their fans apparently do not know that Oklahoma and Vanderbilt were conference losses. Conference losses.
Mhm.
That's
We'll get to your
last
shit
I checked.
posting
Yeah, I
later,
think that's the
Jimmy.
thing.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't know. They didn't know.
We'll get to your shit posting later. That's cool.
Let's be honest, though. Alabama fans being clueless to something is not exactly a major revelation.
See, that's
Yikes.
actually funny.
Gets it.
Yikes, son.
Yeah, just went right for it. So yeah, let's dive in. And let's talk about the college football playoff. The field, of course, is now set in front of us. We do know that Oregon is your number 1 seed, Boise State, Georgia your number 2, Boise State the 3, Big 12 champion, Arizona State is your 4. Your first round matchups, which begin next Friday. We will preview them, of course, next week on the show. We have number 5 Texas hosting ACC champion number 12 Clemson, number 6 Penn State hosting number 11 SMU, number 7 Notre Dame hosting number 10 Indiana, number 8 Ohio State hosting number 9 Tennessee. I will get out in front of this because if you go back to our college football preview show, we figured something out before the season that some of the smartest people in college football allegedly in analyzing college football are only figuring out this week that the automatic buys for the top 4 conference champions, and even more so the lack of reseeding in the college football playoff, the 12 team
That's
college
the big
football
piece
playoff,
that I didn't add to mine. Yeah, the reseeding
is what is making this
weird,
bad, weird, wrong, whatever adjectives you want to use. But because this is the thing we talked about. We were talking about the format because this was all new and all brand new stuff, starting out this season. But we were like, every other sport, you reseed. Lowest team always plays the number 1 team. Like, why? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, unlike our hairlines, the NCAA will not be reseeding this year.
Hi-oh!
And like,
hey, listen, speak for yourself, son. Okay.
And
here, pal.
The thing I said is like I cited the 2004 or whatever it was Orange Bowl when number 23 Florida State, by way of an ACC title game, and it was only coincidental that the ACC was the bad conference in that year, ended up in the Orange Bowl playing Penn State, getting boat race. The game wasn't close. And I always cite that year, and I didn't think that it was all going to come manifest itself 4 months later. That the automatic bids, the automatic buys, the lack of reseeding because of an unforeseen road, created by in part the portal, the field leveling a little bit, resumes, all of those other things we've talked about for the last 4 months has created, a bracket that cool on the surface, we'll discuss that. But because of those things, the automatics and the not reseeding make some roads easier than others, make some roads harder than others. So let's we'll start at it. Sean, I'll go to you. We'll go in reverse order of the last segment. Looking at this, we will start with just kind of what you think on like the broad surface of it, what they got right and what they got wrong.
Well, obviously, I mean, for them, the lack of reseeding allows them to play around with matchups later. And maybe that's what they wanted, is more control down the line. Because I think even though you have some really, and everybody's angry about Oregon's path, I'm not as angry as everyone else. I mean, it's unfortunate they may have to beat Ohio State a second time. But I think they're better than Ohio State, and I don't think there's any reason they shouldn't. But yeah, I think obviously the things you pointed out are the big misses. The big hits are SMU's in and Alabama isn't. I'm very pleased that happened. I'm even fine with Alabama. Perfect. I think Clemson getting in was just a no-brainer at that point. My favorite thing has nothing to do with the committee. Miami blew it, so that's perfect. Man, because if they beat Syracuse, this thing's completely different.
Absolutely.
It's just, and I do enjoy the fact that they set up some decent semifinal matchups if things play out right. The fact that it angers me to say the fact that Penn State has that path and the run and one of the, if not, I don't want to say the best run defense in the field, but that's one thing they're good at. So it sets up an interesting run defense versus Boise State. But the fact that it could be a Notre Dame Penn State situation in the semifinals, and I don't know who they're planning on having Oregon play for fun. I guess Texas. I don't know. There's the 4 seeds are wrong. I think both things need to happen. I think reseeding, yes, 100%. And I think, it's okay to have the auto bids to the 12, but you got to let the cream be at the top, and you got to it makes a bad bracket when you let some of the smaller and the automatic bids as a 3 or a 4. It's not working.
Student of the game.
It's obvious that the biggest error is letting 2 G5 schools get in. SMU in failing to do its job in completing the circle to make the ACC look bad gets rewarded by being ranked higher than the ACC champion, which still somehow feels appropriate. But yes, 2 G5s. Yes, I know SMU is in the ACC. That's the point of the comment. The other thing I think that got missed isn't really so much the committee's fault. Obviously, we've talked about Penn State, but the whole reason Penn State is there, one could argue, isn't the committee. And you're going to like this, Jim. Follow me on this. I hinted at this air quotes conspiracy theory on the Honestly Speaking podcast. Jim, your Michigan Wolverines managed to intimidate your favorite colored-haired human being at Ohio State, Ryan Day, into losing a football game that everybody else on this panel, your Homer self included, thought that they shouldn't win. Much to our joy. However, to the chagrin of the college football playoff, such that it is in this bracket, what it allowed to happen was Penn State being at that 6th spot. If Ohio State got to that 6th spot, would I be ecstatic about their path? Not really. But what it would at least do is put me in a position to get a one-loss team whose only loss was by a single point to the number 1 team in the nation, have an easy path to eventually possibly lead to a final, a national championship, where it's an Oregon-Ohio State rematch. Now, in no world do I really believe either Big Ten team will make that happen, as I believe these playoffs will also be known as the Janet Jackson halftime show. A lot of people are getting exposed, the Big Ten among them. Punchline's this. Ryan Day does his job. We're not complaining about Penn State the way that we are. Ergo, the entire thing is Ryan Day's fault. You are welcome, Jim.
The only flaw there is you would have already had your Oregon-Ohio State rematch.
What do you mean?
If they'd have beaten Michigan, they would have been in the championship game.
Big Ten title game.
Right.
The Big Ten title game would have been Oregon-Ohio State.
Oh, so we could be set up
Ohio
for a
State
third
would have
rematch.
2 losses.
Yeah, because assuming Oregon wins the second time,
cool.
they probably end up
Ohio
in the
State
spot
with
that
2
Penn
losses
State.
is still at 6. Don't you agree?
Or Ohio State wins, and then Oregon's right there in that 5-6 realm. So either way,
yeah,
that
It's a
title
better
game
life.
sets this up a little better. Yeah, probably.
It's a better life. That's what
Quack,
I'm getting.
quack, 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 quack.
The punchline is, you're focused all on the wrong thing. The punchline is, it's all Ryan Day's fault.
I mean, I'm fine.
I can live with that.
Yeah, I'm fine putting the blame on the painted-haired bitch. That's fine.
There it is. Somebody, where is it? I got him to say it.
There it is.
We're gonna have to
EJ,
get Lou Holtz saying he's soft on the soundboard. I feel like I want to know what
EJ, your thoughts on the bracket on the surface?
I mean, outside the issues with reseeding and based on the rules itself, they got the 12 teams correct here. I haven't
You're
seen
an idiot. You're just a raging idiot. You're even contradicting yourself from last fucking week. Good job.
Wait, hold on.
Whatever.
Wait, what are you talking about? Are you drunk right now, bro?
Bro, you're the one that said Bama should be in last week. Now suddenly the results of this week, Bama should be out. You're a tool.
Hey, is a hell of a drug.
No, I never said Bama should be in. I said Bama might get in.
Don't do math.
I mean, Okay. Anyway,
okay. I'm just going to pass it to the rest of the panel, and they can remember what they.
Why don't we pass it back to EJ first?
Thank you. Well,
the only thing we're passing back to EJ is apparently a crack pipe.
That's okay with me. Anyway, no, but they got the 12 teams right. I do think though, if SMU did not come back in that game in the fourth quarter, they shoehorned Alabama in without question.
Right. You're a fucking tool. I don't believe you.
I think
get over it, Kyle. First off,
I can't get over you being wrong. It's 10 years.
Well,
it's
your motherfucking opinion. Let me have my motherfucking opinion too, also. Motherfucker, Jesus.
You can have it, but he can also say that you're wrong.
But Mike, let me finish what I'm fucking saying first. And then
let him finish his opinion before you tell him he's wrong.
No, but I'm big. You damn right I'm big fucking man. I'm trying to fucking talk, nigga. Shit. Anyway, as I was saying, no, the 12 teams are right in my opinion. For the most part, I obviously do think though we will see much sooner than we realize the reseeding thing come to focus. Don't be surprised if next year the reseeding will be a thing.
Yeah,
I think everything Sean said about the committee want to have some sort of control with future possible matchups in the quarterfinals and semifinals. Definitely played a part in how they want.
I think the only thing that stops it would be if we got great matchups at every stage.
Well, I also think the other thing that stops it, I don't know what the contract, what the verbiage in the contract is, because right now I think the 12-team format as it sits in front of us is quote unquote ironclad again. We've seen things.
A lot of people signed off on this.
Yeah. We've seen things dramatically in very quick fashion over the last couple of years changing college football. Right. So you can take quote unquote ironclad for what it's worth. But the report today that EJ, I know you shared it to the group about the possibility of going to a 14-team playoff as early as 2026. My understanding was that this format was set in stone, so to speak, for 2 years, and then they can make adjustments to it. So right. I wouldn't plan on any changes to the formatting for next year. Again, that's many months away. A lot of things can change in many months, but I wouldn't hold your breath on it.
Wouldn't you think though reseeding will only be a subtle change as opposed to a drastic change?
Yeah, it would. And if there's a change that will be made before next year, I think that would be it.
Correct.
Right.
Because that's a very easy one. Let's be totally forward with it. If the College Football Playoff Committee decided today to say that they're going to reseed that they've heard the feedback from everybody and we're going to reseed it, the only teams that are going to be mad about that is Penn State. You know what I mean? So and so that's really the big thing there.
Right.
It's an easy thing to do because the quarterfinals are bowl games. They're not games that are hosted somewhere. It's a lot quicker, easier, safer to be able to make that change than it is probably some of the other ones. But yeah, I don't know the legalities of it that they would have to approach. But again, money talks. So if there's money to be made by reseeding,
it's all about that. It's all about the money.
Well, and the money, I was going to say, the idea of, and I think Jim, you and I talked about it in a phone call. The whole, how many conference championship hotels get canceled and how many national title game hotel because the team that they thought was going to. I think by locking in the path, it allows Penn State fans to shop for the game against Boise State and potentially against. Like knowing where they are and who it would probably be against, you start to know where to buy tickets and where to book your hotels and where to make your tailgate plans. And I think that's a big part of college football is the travel and the tailgate and all the money. And so if you reseed, which I think we can all agree makes better football,
correct,
and is more fair to the teams, putting their concussions and their lives and their money on the line. It may be unfair to all the other people that are getting paid and that are making the plans and doing those things. So I'm sure that was all weighed into this.
Well, let me ask you this, guys, and then would you guys want a 14-team playoff?
No.
This is already, And it might just be because it's new. It's very overwhelming. I think
it is overwhelming. Yes.
Like it's overwhelming. It's confusing. Alabama would be in. There's a lot of reasons why. For now,
teams that deserve it would be in there over the Americans
Ole
representative.
If we saw reseeding, and if we saw what I would say, like with that, where the cream can rise, we don't have the locked-in top 4.
Yeah.
Then I think the 14 might work because you could reward like a top 2 with buys or whatever you want to do. But if you go to 14 in the current format, it's like, are you locking in 6 buys? Are you keeping it at 4 and just adding an extra? Because there's going to be at 14, you're going to have a weird buy path.
They're going to do a play-in game for some.
I know it's strange to say.
Like
I know it's strange. Right.
I don't know. I if it involves a play-in game and an extra week for like 2 teams, then I would say no. I don't think.
I don't think there's necessarily a play-in. There's necessarily you would lose the 3 and 4 bye week.
Right. I agree.
Because
they
like
would have
Division 1 AA, Division 2, those divisions already do a 14 team playoff. My college alma mater that I didn't graduate from, Kutztown, was the number 1 seed in one half of the Division 2 bracket.
And they got one of 2 buys, right?
They got one of 2 buys. That's
the only way it works.
Yeah,
so
them and Fair
State
got the buys in that one. So, and to the defense of possible upsets and things there. The number 4 seed on that side of the bracket, Slippery Rock, they won. It is a reseeded bracket. They went on. They beat Kutztown in Kutztown, actually. In round 2, they're actually in the Final 4. So,
because I know it sounds strange that adding 2 more teams into the bracket would water down a sport that has 120 plus schools. But at the same time, it's as Sean said,
no one gives a shit about watering down. We live in a world where the March Madness exists.
Well, agreed. Right, exactly. And it's too much already as is, which I agree.
We live in a 12-team bracket with Arizona State in it.
Right. I'm just saying to Sean's point that
that's already watered down.
It is a little overwhelming too, even at 12. But maybe but I think because of the fact that we're so used to 4.
Alabama would be one of the schools in the rankings there. Who would have been the other?
Either Miami, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
It was
Miami, Ole Miss.
Miami.
Right.
Okay, that
you would have had 3 AC schools in. What a crock. Listen, a minor correction. While your point is overall made about forecasting out ahead for games, Sean, I don't think Penn State fans would want to do that because I don't think they believe they're going to beat SMU next week. It's actually a big game. Anyways.
You know what? Let's just enjoy the 12 first, please. God.
Well, that would be SMU beating a Big Ten school. Kyle,
yes, the American making more noise.
Bang bang.
Mikey B, thoughts on the bracket?
Well, first off, I think there's a lot of complaining about reseeding when we haven't even seen a team get upset yet. Like if the teams that are hosting first round games do their jobs, there's nothing to reseed.
See your point.
1 versus 8, 4 versus 5, 3 versus 6, 2 versus 7. And then what are you going to tell me? Oh, okay, Notre Dame pulls an upset off of Georgia. They should play Oregon because they're the 7 and Oregon's the 1. You're telling me we're going to reseed the semis?
Yeah.
I think it's just the principle more than anything else. I see what you're saying there. It's just the principle.
Oh, so if the favorites,
if everybody holds serve,
if the higher ranked team wins, the bracket wouldn't need reseeded.
Correct.
I'm with you, Mike. I don't think it's as big of a problem as the 4 being the 4. I feel like that's my bigger problem.
Correct. I feel like we're nitpicking on they don't reseed. I think the problem here is that the 3 and the 4. Let's be very transparent.
The 1 and the 2
let's
pretty accurate.
Let's stop with the Oregon, Georgia. They should be 1 and 2. They're the Big Ten champion who's undefeated and an SEC champion who won a conference title game and beat Texas twice. The 1 and the 2 got it right.
Argue with you there, Mike. That's a good point.
We're complaining about the 3 and the 4, and the reality of the situation is this.
Not really, actually. But go ahead.
3's fine.
Let Mike.
No shot. There's no shot that there's anybody on this panel that thinks Boise State should be the number 3 team in the nation that isn't fucking me. There's not a soul.
I think you do. If your only
don't
loss,
smoke crack.
If your only loss is to the number 1 team in the country right now,
this is
points, I'm okay with it.
This is the goddamn problem with the whole process. Why does nobody talk about accomplishments in the fucking college football playoff? This is bullshit. We're focused on what people lost. Okay, listen, Boise State is in because they got handed that, all right? We left out a team that beat a conference champion. Something one of the teams up there can't say, right, SMU? And, oh, God, this is just so stupid.
Kyle,
Can
I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question, Kyle?
No, you can't, because you're going to say something else stupid.
No, I'm asking you a question. You're going to answer the question.
Christ.
If you had a chance,
I might if I want to, motherfucker. I'll do what I want.
Okay. Relax, buddy. I'll get a hug later on. If you right now, in your opinion, rank the 4 best teams right now in college football, how you would do it, regardless of
that's
just
not
the
the
top
question.
4.
That's not the question in play. What Mikey has posited is that none of us have a problem. We have nothing to complain about. The real thing to complain about is, even though I talk about Dylan Gabriel being a flaw, they are an undefeated team.
Correct.
Their reward is at best, their next team to play is the number 9th seed. If Clemson wins, they should be forced to play Oregon. If SMU wins, they should be forced to play Oregon. If Indiana wins, they should be forced to play Oregon. I guess, again, I forget if they played on the schedule or not. Punchline's this. You deserve to get the easiest road if you are undefeated. That's just where I sit.
Right, that's where the reseed comes in, yeah.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing with that. The point I made is we are jumping to the conclusion that we believe that a team that is the visitors next weekend
might be ranked 11
could win a game on the road and should play Oregon. If that's the case, fine. But I think there's other things that we need to address before we worry about potential upsets. And I think the problem here is the fact that they put the rankings out and you see Boise State at 10 and you see Arizona State at 13 and you're like, why are they 3 and 4?
Because the ACC got biased and Arizona State was not properly respected, but that's a separate sidebar.
To be fair, though,
I think the issue might
it's because they put terminology that said that you have to give it to conference champions. At the end of the day, the 12 teams, there should be 5 teams automatically in the bowl. The SEC champion, the Big 10 champion, the Big 12, the G5, and the Atlantic Coast Conference. Where they're at in that 12 depends on where they finish in the rankings. Not because Cam Scatterbo decided to bust up Iowa State. And the fact that Ashton Genty is probably going to break a rushing record, and the fact that he's the best running back in college football right now and has carried Boise State on his back gets them a 3 seed. In reality, they should probably be on the road in the first round playing Penn State or playing somebody else like that, and Texas, who has 2 losses, should have a bye. And
if we did it this way, the top 4, Penn State would have a bye.
Guess what? They lost. What did they lose? 2 games?
Penn State?
They did. They lost 2.
Yeah.
They lost 2 games.
Ohio State
they lost
and a
conference title game. And they lost to a conference title game to a team that's undefeated.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so they get a bye. Cool story. You're telling me right now, if I'm sitting here today, if you tell me the top 4 is Oregon, Georgia, Texas, and Penn State in that order, fine. I get it. It's not. I get it. It's not cute. I get it. It's not good because shit teams play shit conference and out of conference schedules, and I understand that. I'm not saying it, but to be fair, that team did their job. They beat who they were supposed to beat.
So Mike,
no, EJ, I gotta land this. You can have it right back.
Go ahead.
And Mike, keep in mind, this isn't me going after you here, but you bringing up this point that it should be this way, and all that this way does is expose the very problem with the committee. We were told that strength of schedule was supposed to matter, and we have proof positive that it fucking did not. The only reason we had to replace the BSC was because they were getting it wrong, because teams would hide behind weak-ass schedules. See Miami, see Nebraska, see Florida State, if you want some examples historically, okay? I'm not even bringing Notre Dame into this because I'm not in the mood to deal with the whole debate and getting double-teamed by Notre Dame fans. I don't have to. There's plenty of other examples that are complete crap that the BSC left a team that belonged there at one because they were undefeated, and there were some other one-loss teams that all perked it out. They put the wrong one in. They got their entire ass kicked. We didn't want to see that anymore, so we went to the 4-team playoff. And number 4 was often crowbarred in because SEC teams are getting biased. Even though they're better, they had to often put in another SEC team, and maybe perhaps FSU getting crowbarred in, even though it was going to happen anyway, was the last straw for the fans. Maybe all of that. But now at this point, strength of schedule has been thrown out of the entire window. And listen, I'm full Brad Pitt Moneyball in this. What the fuck are we doing here? Okay? Like, this is the problem, such as it is. It's not so much that, well, Penn State's 4, they should get a bye. What we're exposing is strength of schedule in that model never mattered.
Here's
Kyle's
the problem
point.
with strength of schedule for me is all the conferences have gotten bigger, right? We're all expanding these which is causing a major problem with this for me, because you have conferences like the Big Ten who have some good teams. You have the obviously the SEC with several good teams. So I'd say several great teams, and then some good teams, and then a couple not so good teams, right? When you add more teams in a season that's only 11, 12, 30, let's call it 12 games long, and then a conference title game, if you have more teams in your conference, you have years like Penn State did this year where you don't have to play all of the teams at the top.
And
right?
Indiana, to be fair.
Indiana too. Yeah,
And
but they're in a conference that
and
ranks
Texas,
fairly high.
fair.
Texas is another.
Yeah.
Texas is, they're an ACC school, supposed to be a great conference, yet their schedule's not that strong. But we don't talk about it because they're in the ACC, and the ACC is always good, right? So
SEC.
I'm sorry, SEC. I'm all kinds of messed up. I haven't even started drinking yet.
Imagine that.
But the it just creates a problem, and I think it's hard because some of that's beyond the school's control. In the conference scheduling and the cycling of the teams and the things like that. So what you're telling me is, if Alabama had a year where they had a great recruiting class, number 1 quarterback in the country, beating teams pretty handedly, but they had a Texas schedule where they played less top teams. They didn't have a Georgia. They didn't have
How many losses do they have is the question first, Sean.
Well, how many does Texas have?
2.
Then 2.
Okay. Then they make the same spot. Then they still get in, maybe at 12 like we're arguing for now. But I find it interesting you make that point where Arizona State
Texas is 3.
was part of a conference where their additions actually made the conference stronger. Mm-hmm. And they still won the dang conference, beating at least one team here, by the way, that's top 25 ranked, and another in Iowa State that was ranked throughout the year. And I don't remember offhand if Arizona State played Colorado. I don't think they did, but I know they have a better conference record than them. So we're going to crap on Arizona State when, by your very point, Sean,
Iowa State's not ranked now, though, right?
They're not ranked now, correct. They were until they lost in the conference championship.
Yeah, they were last week, right.
Correct. Which, yeah, the
Iowa
only
State,
crime
18. Are they not the number 18 team in the nation?
They're 18.
Are they?
Oh,
I mean,
no, you're right. No, you're right.
They are 18. I beg your pardon. So what I'm saying is we're crapping on Arizona State by the previous 2 people making comments. I think it was you, and I forget who the other person that crapped on them was.
I made a
you
joke.
did, but they beat 17 and 18 in this top 25. I can't necessarily say that for a lot of the people in this discussion, right?
I mean, I know you can't say it about Texas because they haven't beaten anybody in this.
For example,
That's true.
And listen, I'm pro being critical of Texas. Cool. That puts Alabama in because they beat the conference champion during the regular season. But nobody wants to talk about that.
But here's the thing.
Okay, but hold on.
Nobody wants to talk about that, but we also don't want to talk about them getting boat raced by Oklahoma when they.
No, we talk about it endlessly on this panel. We know about the point I'm taking with is the fact that EJ's lead earlier was, well, Boise State only lost to number 1. A loss can propel you into the playoff. Granted, that's not what exactly happened because they would be in any way as a G5 team before you hit me with that, Mike, and I know it. But even if they were, let's see, what's the next highest G5 team? I'm looking here quickly. No, Memphis. I can't make the joke about SMU right now.
Memphis.
But
Memphis is 25.
Okay.
Army's 22.
I was about to say Army's 22. If Boise's in the top 20, which I feel confident they would be, they should be ranked to Illinois. I said what I said. They're still making the playoff. So really, it's quality losses from Indiana and Penn State to Ohio State. How quality a loss is that now? Am I right? You know, like, what are we doing here? So I mean, that's what I'm getting at.
Like, Kai, would you rank the 4 teams that have right now currently ranked here? Would you, based on your like accomplishments? Because I'm with you on that one. What would you accomplish?
Are there any teams that are out?
Is this 4 accurate in your opinion?
The top 4?
The top 4 here.
Okay.
On the screen now.
And the other problem is too, because Notre Dame's situation is what it is, and they keep buying themselves into prominence, and they're not in a conference. And I don't mean that as a slight. They put themselves in a good position to have higher standards for academics and recruit well still. I'm not dissing it. Mm-hmm. But I would make a very fine case to put them ahead of Penn State for G5 school on the schedule or not. See, that's a pro Notre Dame take. Where the fuck is Muehlheisen? Anyways, so like, yeah, that's just one thing that jumps out to me there too. But that too is an artificial crowbar, you know.
Because where's Penn State's? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Where is their quality wins? I asked that all season. You know,
they have quality losses, not quality wins. I would argue Ohio State by virtue of real standards. No, I would argue by Kyle standards. By Kyle standards, Ohio State should be higher than Penn State. They beat Penn State, for crying out loud.
Right. But here's the thing that kind of gets lost. And I've seen this in arguments from Joel Klatt to Paul Feinbaum to this panel to other people on Twitter and all of this. Depending how you want to make the argument, people are putting either weighting the wins or they're weighting losses.
Right.
And the thing that needs to be discussed is both of those things make up where you end up.
Correct.
Because yes, Alabama has a great win over the team that's now number 2.
Correct.
Alabama also has 2 losses to teams that are 6-6, including a very bad Oklahoma team and a questionable at best Vanderbilt team.
And Jim,
and one of those losses was 2 weeks ago.
Jim, and to your point, also to add on to that, it wasn't that they lost to Oklahoma. It's the way they lost.
He just said that.
Like, they got their asses kicked 2 weeks ago. Again, if Alabama lost to Oklahoma that way in week 2, they're probably in.
Oh, no, I don't agree with you. With all due respect, Jim, I hear your argument, and it's a good one. But they were out for blood against the SEC, and part of this was, we're sorry, ACC, for leaving out FSU last year.
Here's
Fuck
the deal.
off, Bern. You know I'm right.
No, I think you're dead wrong. You're dead wrong.
Well, then put your violin away and talk rather than hide behind bullshit.
I'm gonna let Jim finish his point because I'm not gonna cut him off.
Let's flip the Oklahoma game, which was the second to last game of the year, with even the South Carolina win. Okay, you put.
I don't know what you mean. I'm sorry.
With Alabama, if you take the Oklahoma win and put that up where they beat South Carolina and move the win over South Carolina the second to last week of the year, because at that point, a South Carolina team that was surging, they are 15th in this ranking. They were probably, I don't know, 20th or something around when that win happened. You're telling me if Alabama has a ranked win the second to last week of the season, as opposed to a boat racing to a now 6-6 Oklahoma team,
okay,
and you're telling me that's not going to boost Alabama, you're lying to yourself.
I'm not, with all due respect. I've called out the committee regularly and called their bias out and done so correctly on the show. But now that it involves Alabama, people want to tell me I'm wrong. But let me ask Bern this question then, okay? Sure. Oklahoma's bad this year. Awesome. You're going to tell me you're confident that Clemson and SMU are going to beat them. That's a cool story, bro.
I'm going to tell you that they had an opportunity to control their own destiny and they blew it. Something that no one wants to sit here and say. It's they have it out for. No, stop.
All I hear is crying about they can't make their schedule,
I let you talk.
Right?
You wanted me to talk. Here it is.
Okay, then I'm going to retort and call out your bullshit too.
That's fine. Feel free, but let me talk because you told me that you wanted it. Here it is.
Motherfucker,
here it is.
Go.
Guess what? Score more than 3 points on the road at fucking Oklahoma. When you can't, you got nothing to bitch at. You got 3 losses. You controlled your own. Stop. You controlled your own fucking destiny. No. And you chose. Yes, you did. Stop. When they fucking lost, they were in the playoffs. They didn't fucking show up. Stop making excuses for goddamn Alabama. If they beat a ranked team at the tail end of their schedule and not fucking Mercer, they control their own destiny. It's bullshit. It's bullshit that we're going to sit here and talk about how the SEC got to take their feelings hurt. We got blood for the SEC. No. They fucking had an opportunity to do their own goddamn job, and they failed. They fucking failed. And rather than sitting here and being like, oh, man, we can't believe that SMU can win a football game. If SMU beats Penn State, then what are you going to say?
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay.
That actually makes the point we've been talking about all year about the Big Ten being a little bit blown
But we're
up.
also going to make the point that SMU deserved to be there and fucking Alabama didn't.
But here's the thing, Mike, and you were one of the guys that came at me with this, and you can't turn around and talk to me about controlled fucking destiny when you were crying everywhere about, well, they don't get to make their rule. Neither does the SEC. And
But
Bama
you had
a harder
a shot
schedule,
to not play
and they
Mercer.
had a tougher road, period. They
Mercer,
had some low
South
points
Florida,
because
Western
they had
Kentucky.
to. You're wrong. You're contradicting yourself.
No, I'm not.
Acknowledge you certainly are.
No,
they
I'm
can't
not.
control their schedule, as you stated.
Mercer,
So by logic,
Western
they
Kentucky.
can't control their destiny. Period. There's no way
Mercer.
around it. You're double talking.
Mercer, Western Kentucky, Wisconsin.
You're still
South
double
Florida.
talking. They're still the best conference that they have to go through, and they can't assign their schedule. They had a conference
And they lost to
champion in
fucking
it.
Vanderbilt, and they lost to
Who was a
Oklahoma.
ranked team? Do we got to bring that up?
I do wonder if Alabama lost Oklahoma in a closer game.
No, it wouldn't, because they're 6-6, right?
I think no. For me, at some point was more so the way they lost Oklahoma. It's a bad loss, performance-wise.
The way you keep
lose to
repeating
them
that
on
statement
September
isn't great
7th.
optics, EJ.
Am I the only one who has?
I mean,
a problem?
really, yeah. Sorry,
Am I
sorry,
the
sorry.
only
Go
one
ahead.
that has a problem with. I feel like at times, Kyle. I feel like at times it's convenient for you to and I hear it with them because you don't argue with me that much. I don't get as into the college football arguments because I'm busy on Saturdays. So, but it seems convenient sometimes for you and for other guys. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
Like you just said it. They were a ranked team, right? They were. They're not, right? Navy was a ranked team.
We keep talking.
A&M was a ranked team.
All right, well, go ahead. I'll let you
Right.
finish.
So my point is like was a ranked team and is a ranked team seems to be like, you can't use it one way and not the other. Like you can't be like, well, we played Vanderbilt. They were a ranked team. Like they're not. Vanderbilt's not that good. I understand they're better than people think they are, and I understand that.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Don't
Absolutely.
you're kind of construing it a little different than I mean it. So let me clarify with this.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not here to say that Vanderbilt's a powerhouse. And I'm not going to make a Northern Illinois joke, settle down. But they're sure as hell not some of the teams on SMU's schedule, on Clemson's schedule. And the reason why I bring them specifically up is because those resumes were compared at some point. And the way that the actual committee looks at it is they take a series of teams together. And at some point, that committee, as the only one of the few teams that still had their destiny on the line without a conference championship, was Alabama, Clemson, and SMU. And so, Mike, again, I'm not here to say that Oklahoma shouldn't be a factor. I think it's overweighed. And the reason why I say that is at some point, this committee, who told me that strength of schedule was supposed to matter, compared these teams directly and told me it was all bullshit that they told me strength of schedule mattered. That's it. That's where it begins and ends. Anything else is just window dressing.
SMU's 2 losses were to the 17th and 16th team in the country. Alabama lost to 2 unranked teams.
Like strength of schedule is an argument. Strength of schedule is not the argument.
Well, and then so they're lying to us, Jim, because that's what I was told this was supposed to repair, and it's not. And all we've created,
who told you
all
that?
we've created now is a culture where teams are going to cancel good regular season games to bring in the Mercers and the Western Kentuckys that Mike is shitting all over, and frankly, rightly so. I'm not for the SEC playing week out of conference schedules. What should be happening is that Alabama gets in, the ACC realize they suck, they start scheduling SEC teams in their non-conference, beat somebody directly, which in Clemson's fairness, they tried to do with Georgia and it completely fucking backfired. I want more games like that out there. Instead, you guys want, or I shouldn't say you guys, people who are defending and crapping on Alabama are asking for the easy way out and keep the week schedule because it will benefit you. And we're right back to where we started. what we were trying to solve for in the BSC. And I'm apparently the only person who gives a flying fuck about any of that.
No, you're not. And the thing is that quality wins and strength of schedule, like, they're important. But, like, again, I've talked about it before. We're not scheduling these 1 year out. Notre Dame and these other teams, they don't get the opportunity to be like, okay, well, next year I'd like to play that. You can't do that. So you schedule them a few years out. When a couple of years the teams don't earn as good or as bad. Not to mention a team like Boise State or like SMU. There's so many games they have to play, right? And you're right to say Alabama doesn't have to schedule, or like they should schedule weaker teams outside of probably if the AC or the SEC is as strong as it is. You don't want to schedule strong games outside of it because you're going to beat yourself up later. But the trouble is, if you're going to be one of the powerhouse teams that makes the SEC what you say the SEC is, the Georgias, the Alabamas, I'll lump Texas in here just for fun. If you're going to be one of the top tier teams in the SEC, and you're going to play a good, let's say, Vanderbilt team,
a better team. Let's not get out of control. Fine. Yeah,
but on a tier schedule for an Alabama to a Vanderbilt, there should be a pretty big gap there. And so if you're not going to schedule a strong out of conference schedule, then you need to take care of your business in the conference. And if you don't, and you maybe you get away with losing to a Georgia, maybe you get away with losing to a Texas, you're not going to get away with losing to someone that should be much lower than you in your conference if you're not going to have like a weighted thing the other way. And I understand there are situations like you're saying, but SMU would be one where I would be like, well, the opportunities they had to play, good teams. I think they played well against enough of them. They lost to 2 ranked teams now, but I think SMU made their point with the schedule they had in front of them. I think Notre Dame made their point with the schedule they had in front of them.
Oh, boy.
And I guess Penn State did. Nothing flashy, but your schedule's in front of you. You got to win them, man.
I'm sorry. That's just fundamentally flawed. I'm not fighting this anymore. I can't. I'm shaking by the conflict of logic I'm hearing there, man. With respect, I can't sign off on anything.
But again, here's the deal. So we're talking about Alabama's hard schedule. Let's take a team in their conference, Texas. Now, Texas had a game week 2 against Michigan. Who would have, nobody could have foreseen. You can grunt the fuck all you want under me.
Well, no, the reason why I'm grunting is I've been critical of Texas too. Now I'm a Texas advocate. Yeah, this isn't what I'm talking about.
What's the phrase you say? Let me land the plane before you start bitching.
Fine.
So Texas had an out-of-conference game against, at the time, number 10 Michigan. Who could have foreseen that Jim Harbaugh leaves to the NFL? The Michigan roster's ransacked. Michigan is not the team that it was expected to be. Okay, that ended up not being a great win. Their conference schedule, again, they can't control it, but their conference schedule had literally one hard game. Georgia, they lost. They lost it again. Alabama, again, they can't control their conference schedule. They ended up having Tennessee. They ended up having Georgia. They ended up having a win over, a South Carolina team that wasn't as good when they played them, whatever. So they can't control those games, but they did control the out of conference games. I'm not going to bring the names up because I don't want to keep pounding that point. But their out of conference was weaker as the 4 games as a whole. Even any single game of their out of conference is weaker than what Texas looked like when we formulated and talked about things 4 months ago before the season started, because Texas is out of conference, had one good game on the schedule, right? Like that was the thing. So even within out of conference versus in conference in the SEC, there's things that you can't control. So Texas rolls through. They end up number 3. Do I think they're too high? I do. Alabama, a victim of also Nick Saban retiring, new head coach, hard schedule, but they are a victim of the fact that they lost 2 games, one of them being 2 weeks ago. Strength of schedule considered, wins and losses considered, when losses happen also considered, because Notre Dame had the I won't even say probably, I'll declare it, worst loss of any top 25 team right now this season. Hands down, worst loss. Notre Dame benefited from the fact that happened in week 2. That's if that happens on the first Saturday of November, Notre Dame's out. They're out.
I'm not as convinced, but go ahead.
Spots in the AP, and again, I guess the AP is different than the College Football Playoff Committee. I get that. 13 spots. They're not recovering from that with their schedule they had this year.
Because even if they're number 2,
which ended up being weaker than it looked like, when we sat and put the wraps on last season, and even when we started this season, like Florida State was the key matchup, right? We talked about that in our preseason. That was the marquee game for Notre Dame. That was going to be the one that if you get to the first Saturday in November in South Bend, you're going to have defending ACC champion coming to town. That's the one. That's the game that is going to make or break this schedule.
How
fucking wrong were we? You know what I mean? But again, and had Notre Dame lost to Florida State the first Saturday in November, they'd be out. Because
I don't think so, Jim. I really don't.
They are.
Let me adjust this. If you're saying they lost to Florida State instead of beating, what was it, Texas Tech? No, Texas A&M.
A&M.
Yeah, that's right. If you replace their one good feat with something that's completely ass, they're worse. What I mean to say is, let's say they played NIU 2 weeks, or the penultimate game is NIU and they lost that one. Jim, I still think they make the playoffs.
I do not.
And I'm going to go full Joe Klatt, and rightly so, because at least at some point they played somebody that's tough and won. More than we can say for a lot of the Big Ten and a lot of the ACC. Accuse me of whatever you want, gentlemen. I'm going to remain consistent because having an accomplishment should matter.
That part I agree with Kyle on, because if what the loss to NIU did for Notre Dame, though, was they lowered the margin of error the rest of the year, which they accomplished. They won the rest of their games. Had they lost a second game this year, they might have been out of the playoff themselves.
If they
would have lost a second game, they would have been dead.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
If they lose to NIU the second week of November, if you flip the Army and the Notre Dame game, that team crashes from number 2 overall to probably 12 at best.
So here's the deal: when Alabama lost,
someone there.
So when Alabama lost to Oklahoma, who was, I think, 5-5 at that point, obviously not ranked. Alabama went into that game ranked number 7. They fell 6 spots to number 13. Obviously, as we can see, they did not recover. They're not in the college football playoff. Northern Illinois, a G5 MAC school, 7-5 on the season. If Notre Dame loses to NIU in November, I think the plummet first off is going to be worse than 6, because Notre Dame doesn't have a win. They even if they have the win over, at the time, 10th ranked Texas A&M, but I think in November they had lost to South Carolina, so they were in the mid-teens. Alabama, they had the win over the number 1 team in the country at the time, still in the top 6, whatever Georgia was. Notre Dame's best win, I don't think would have been, and this is me bashing my own team, would have, I think, a 6-spot fall by Alabama, I think, would have been 8 or 9 spots for Notre Dame. And I don't think they could have recovered either. Again, the timing of it. But
and to your point, the only reason why I think Notre Dame can't is because they don't have the conference championship to help bail themselves out. That's a big part of it too.
Right.
In defensive, and so maybe I have a blind spot to that in my analysis, and I'm not accounting for the fact that if they do so that late, they don't really have a good opportunity to save themselves with a conference championship. They would need help. A lot of people would have to blunder. And in Clemson's defense, you would be on here screaming "fuck Dabo" to the ends of the earth with the fact they won on a 56-yard field goal, because a 4-loss Clemson team might get ranked behind Notre Dame in that instance.
So
that's possible. Oh yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of teams in conferences, Kyle, that would have that would miss it, would not get a conference if they had that late loss it's rare that a team gets that.
I mean,
late
Bama
loss
didn't,
and then gets a conference title game. You'd have to be pretty much undefeated in the conference to have that opportunity.
So let me punchline this then. Arizona State, we all kind of, it's hard for us to account for the Big 12. But the fact that they had both BYU and Iowa State, as by the way, a team that was picked to be the second worst in the conference. We're not talking enough about that, right? We've made the point on this show how little Ohio State fell after falling, with all due respect, to an otherwise disappointing Michigan team, Jim.
Oh, yeah, they should have fell further.
I don't think they fell far enough either.
Okay.
But I'll agree with you there.
Yeah. So with that all in mind, we really should be also arguing for Arizona State to be uplifted as part of my argument, right? Because they played a conference champion that was ranked higher, did so convincingly. One of few convincing wins on the dang weekend.
They boat raced them.
And still they're only 12. So I think there's part of that too. And again, you want to call it an ACC bias on my part, cool. I'll maintain my bias against them because they fucking suck. Okay? An American team did what it did. We don't have to talk about this again. We don't have to bring up your Notre Dame team out loud saying they're a member of the conference and dominating them again as we have in the past. Everybody says that Patrick LaVon Mahomes II he can't get away with this, but the ACC also continues to, and that's why I appreciated the reference that Byrne made earlier to the Chiefs as the ACC champion, right? There are some similar things there. The only difference is, like I said, the Broncos and the Chargers will belong in the playoffs if they make it.
So really, I think lost in all the sauce. The way to quote unquote fix the format, as it were, is reseed. Some of us feel stronger about reseeding than others, but really the one of the big things is the automatic buys, which again, those are two things that I think the majority of us had talked about in the preseason. Mike.
Oh yeah.
Easy way to fix this. Stop fucking preseason ranking teams.
Well,
because it's hard for teams to free fall. Looking at you, Ohio State. Looking at you, Penn State. Looking at you, Utah. Looking at
argue even
Clemson.
Miami.
Looking at you, Miami.
Yeah, I think there were points where they could have fallen way out of the picture.
But the problem is their losses as late as they were, with other teams losing in front of them, they got up to 6. Let's not rank a single team in college football until the week before the college football playoffs.
Dude,
because
I've been on that bus since longer than we've been in.
Because then you take the 25 best teams and you go, all right, boys, these are the teams that are going to be on that sheet on Tuesday night. We're going to rank them, and then you guys got to fucking figure it out from there. Because at that point, you can then take strength of schedule. You then can take what teams do in the conference, looking at you, Alabama, looking at you, Georgia, looking at you, Texas, and you can say, okay,
it's the SEC. They only have the best conference. Jesus Christ, that's what I don't like about it, Bern.
I'm giving you a fucking compliment here.
Yeah, he's
okay. Hey, that's my fault if I misunderstood. My bad.
Because you're going to look at their strength of schedule because they will have already played conference games, and their win over Texas A&M on the road, or their win on the road at a ranked South Carolina, or what would be a top 25 ranked South Carolina team when you put out that first bracket, would look better than, oh, look, Penn State beat 4-3 Georgia Tech on the road. Who gives a shit that they beat Georgia Tech? They're 4-3. Cool. Their strength of schedule is 37th. So we put them at 25 because cool. They have one loss. They lost to Ohio State on the road in the Horseshoe. They're a top 10 team, but they have no other quality wins. So now they have to find a way to make it to the conference title game to put themselves in the conversation. Yeah. It's too hard for some of these teams to fall out of the top 25 when they're gifted it in the preseason. That's all I'm saying.
I think the compromise. I have one quick point. The compromise there, I think, I don't think anyone on the playoff committee or anyone in NCAA is going to wait that long. No. But we have a point in the season where we start and we used it on our show when they start the selection rankings. a few weeks to go, I feel like that would be the compromise. Like that's like when that comes out, that would be the first point where here's your ranked teams. Now let's play it out. And I feel like that would be an easier step. But that would be better than what it is now. I completely agree that the early season rankings, and does Notre Dame benefit from that a lot of years? Yeah. Does
So
Penn
does
State
Texas.
and some of these historic? Oh, absolutely.
Right. Before Texas was back, they'd be there every year, right, Sean?
Well, Michigan, it took them several weeks for people to realize, like, oh wow, this team's awful. Like, you know what I mean? And even Florida State, like, I mean, it happened a little quicker because Florida State lost to some real.
I think that happened pretty quick, actually.
It happened. I mean, but the initial loss didn't kill them. Obviously, the initial loss didn't kill them because it was like, well, these are two good teams, and then it was like, well, okay, well, now they're in a bit of a funk, and then it was no, this team's really shitty.
All right, to try and speed.
But yeah,
I need the quick one to Mike here. Which do you think is harder, for teams to fall out or for teams to climb up? That would be my argument. But we're in the same spirit. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I would say at this point it feels like it's harder for teams to fall out.
Okay.
Personally, but I mean that's something that we can discuss at a later date because I don't want to divert this anymore.
They're both important.
Just to the preseason ranking point. Okay, these are some of the spots of where teams were: Ohio State 2, Notre Dame 7, Penn State 8, Michigan 9, Florida State 10, Missouri 11, Utah 12, LSU 13, Oklahoma 16, Oklahoma State 17, Kansas State 18, Miami came in at 19, Texas A&M 20, Arizona 21, Kansas 22, USC 23, NC State 24, and Iowa 25.
NC State, what a
like holy hell! Look, from that to where we are, holy hell! Like I mean,
5-7 Kansas opened the season ranked number 22 in the nation.
Boise State was just outside, SMU just outside, Iowa State just outside, Liberty was just outside, Nebraska, Wisconsin, App State, Kentucky, Auburn, Colorado were all just outside. They were
question to the panel: can we just call the NCAA and say, can we get votes in this? Because when you somehow have 5-7 Arizona or 4-8 Arizona and 5-7 Kansas, both in your preseason top 25, that means to tell me that you know absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you're guessing.
Because here's the problem with preseason rankings. And historically, they've been based on what the team did last year and what we perceive they're going to do this year. Now trying to figure that out with the transfer portal is absolutely fucking asinine, right?
That's what killed Arizona, for example.
Yeah, and because I mean, look, last year Notre Dame went out, they got Sam Hartman. He was supposed to be the savior, right? That didn't work out so well, now did it? This year they go out and get Riley Leonard. Started off not that great.
Not great, Bob.
Again, leads a game-winning drive at Texas A&M, does nothing in week 2 against Northern Illinois, struggles. He doesn't throw a touchdown pass until I think it was week 5. Now the Notre Dame offense has gotten on track. Cool. But those are the things that nobody can predict what is going to happen when you have a guy that was recruited to play at Duke and now he's playing at Notre Dame, a guy that was recruited to play at Northern Washington and now he's at Ohio State. What? You're trying to tell me you can figure out what that guy's going to do? You can't. So yeah, I've always been on board with getting rid of preseason rankings, but
you always can't predict a quarterback to completely tank like Kansas is doing.
It will never happen.
All right.
It was week 4.
Well, yeah, the preseason rankings are never going away. That's a no shit Sherlock situation. But real quick, we're looking at the first round matchups. And then because I do want to move on to other things in college football, and then of course the NFL, and we're already at an hour and a half.
Wow,
we fucked up.
Anyway, when you're having fun.
So looking at the first round matchups, Mike, I'll go Mike, EJ, Kyle, Sean, and then myself. Just looking at these, interpret it how you want, but most intriguing, most prime for upset, however you view upset, whatever. What game are you most looking forward to next week? We'll obviously make the predictions next week, but what are you most looking forward to next week?
Who's first? Me?
Mike.
I'm just looking at something real quick before I get my formal suggestion out of the way. Night game at Notre Dame. Intriguing. I heard a lot of talk from the Indiana head coach where he, gave Marcus Freeman's boys a little bit of bulletin board material calling out the fact that they lost to NIU. Well, Kurt, I'm going to tell you this much. Be careful what you wish for, because now you have to go write that fucking check and your ass has got to go cash it. So you better find a way to leave South Bend with a win, or you're going to look real dumb for that comment that you made on the college football bracket show, because you basically called that team out and said that you should be having the home game instead of them. Well, here's your chance to shut them up.
There you go.
Better fucking do it.
EJ, most intriguing next week.
It's tough because it's that even between the battle for Indiana and then of course Tennessee and Ohio State, man. Both those games I'm fired up for.
All right, student of the game.
It's not tough because Notre Dame's going to fucking murder Indiana, and I'm going to be cheering for the Irish so hard that Jim won't know what happened to him. He'll feel the hardness of my cheers from a distance away, giggity, but that's not even where I'm going. And maybe some of my bias involving the black and gold banneret are coming out in spades here. I think Josh Heupel makes Jim happy in just another way that Notre Dame's about to, by beating Ohio State. And then Dylan Gabriel does battle against his former coach. And the only reason why he doesn't do battle against his former coach is because Scott Frost had to fuck up the rotation and bring Mackenzie Milton to town, because back when Mackenzie Milton was hurt, you better bet your entire ass he was coaching up Dylan Gabriel as well. That's okay. I'll take the one I got, Heupel versus Gabriel in the quarterfinal, and you better bet your entire ass that is the one I'm looking forward to, and I'll certainly write something about it. I feel like compelled that I'd have to on the black and gold banneret.com.
All right, Sean, what is the most intriguing matchup of round one?
I mean, I have a bit of a bias, so obviously the night game at South Bend is very exciting for me. The fact that it's a battle for Indiana with bulletin board material was all things I was going to point out. So I'll step aside as someone who's made Nittany Lion getting run over bumper stickers, as I alluded to last week. I think the fact that an SMU team who has all of these, well, maybe they shouldn't have been ahead of Alabama. Maybe they are part of a weak conference. Maybe they weren't the strongest team to get in. Has a chance to prove himself against a team that I hate. I am all for it. I like to bet on teams with something to prove. I like to bet on teams with chips on their shoulder. I think SMU has both, and I think Penn State's incredibly overrated. So I think that is, if I was going to pick the prime opportunity for an upset, obviously Clemson, Texas is there. Clemson coming off a big win, Texas somewhat unproven, so like it's there. I think SMU is the prime candidate to pull off the upset and would set up I don't know about an intriguing matchup, but a matchup between SMU and Boise State in the quarterfinal. But it does put one of those two teams into the semis and proves my point about reseeding. So I love everything about it.
In other news, I'm noticing that I'm seeing a purchaser of those bumper stickers at 3 times the price per unit. And oh, never mind. It's Mule Heisen trolling his wife. Carry on.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how James Franklin can Franklin at home. But I think obviously besides the Notre Dame home game and playing on a Friday, which is weird, Fridays in Notre Dame Stadium just doesn't feel right. But I think the most intriguing is the Ohio State Tennessee matchup, because you have an Ohio State fan base that has been stewing over their most embarrassing loss, at least in recent memory, in that series against Michigan, and a fan base that was ready to like fire Ryan Day that night. And now you have the opportunity, if you're Ohio State, and especially that painted hair bitch Ryan Day, to flip the script, right? Like you have 4 games in front of you where you can say that was a fluke. I understand. I fucked up. We can worry about Michigan next November, but I just won a national championship, right? Like that's his task. However, if that game next Saturday starts with Tennessee getting the ball, scoring, and Ohio State going, let's say, 3 and out, that home game for Ohio State becomes a hell game for Ohio State because that crowd is going to turn on that team and on that coaching staff.
Incredible point.
And then
Like,
bye Ryan
so
Day.
that to me is the most intriguing because like I don't think even as frustrated as Penn State is because I think Franklin and Penn State are in a similar spot to what the crowd can do if SMU can get a lead, but that Ohio State fan base is ready. Like it doesn't even matter because the question is always, well, who do you get? Ohio State fans, they do not care.
I think Happy Valley just goes silent. I
They'll
think
go
if
silent.
SMU
Ohio
comes out
State fans
early-
will turn, and that to me is the intriguing part. But that is that.
We
All right,
could see them both getting fired. I'll just throw that out there. Go ahead.
They
Jim.
certainly could, but Day is definitely on the hottest of
And then
seats.
Brian Kelly can join the family.
Family.
There you go. We'll talk about that in the offseason.
Kyle's point today he's on the podcast. It's title Buster Day. That's simple.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. All right, let's go real quick. Obviously, this Saturday is Heisman Trophy weekend, and we don't usually spend a ton of time like highlighting the Heisman Trophy, and we're not going to spend a ton of time here. Your four finalists, this year has really been the battle of Travis Hunter, Ashton Genty. Cool. Dylan Gabriel, you're a finalist. Cam Ward, you're a finalist. That's adorable, right? Like, cool. Here's a free trip to New York. You're going to get on TV a lot. It really comes down to two guys because Cam Ward, again, you want to put a useless bet on somebody. He's plus 50,000. Dylan Gabriel's plus 40,000. Cool. It really comes down to plus 1,100 Ashton Genty and minus 4,000 Travis Hunter. It's really a two-man show. Real quick, Sean, I'll start with you. We'll work backwards again. Who do you think will be the Heisman Trophy winner this Saturday?
So not who I think it should be.
You can give both if you would like.
Well, I think that I think Gianti should be, in my opinion, labeled as the best college player. Because I know it's not supposed to be an MVP award, but it usually is. I think this year, maybe the one appeal to me about Hunter winning it is I think that it might go back to that. Is he the MVP of his team? Probably, yeah. But I think he also, like, with the back and forth and I think that's your Heisman Trophy winner. I just don't see it going another way. I don't know what it does to the NFL draft, but I think Dion has sold him well and will continue for the next 5 or 6 days. And I think I don't know. I feel America's pretty split on those two. If there's another one you guys think is going to win it, great for you, but I think it's going to be one of those two, and it's probably going to lean Hunter.
All right, let's do the game.
You'll see plenty of Genty, but there'll be a Travis Hunter out there handing him the trophy.
All right, very good. EJ?
Yeah, it should be Hunter as well too. I think it should be a little bit closer. I think Genty's performance this year certainly warrants respect. It's definitely 1 and 2, but I think who it should be, I think it's still Hunter. And I think it will be Hunter.
All right, Mikey B.
One of them is going to break a rushing record. The other one, you're telling me that snaps are a stat. Ashton Genty, Heisman.
I hope you're right.
I think I really do think it will be Travis Hunter. The reason why I put a very small bet on Ashton Genty is because in 2 of 3 Colorado losses, Travis Hunter was basically invisible. Now, you can chalk that up to 110 snaps a game. You can chalk that up to, I think, one game he got dinged up, didn't leave the game, but was dinged up. You can chalk that up to whatever you want. But that's why I put a small bet on Ashton Genty, because I think it is closer than a lot of people want to believe it is. I do ultimately believe Travis Hunter will win, but I did put a small wager on Ashton Genty winning, just because why not?
You're degenerate now these days. My God.
Yeah, well, things happen. All right, let's go to this Saturday, 3:00 Eastern time on CBS. It is the 125th playing of America's game. Navy leads the series 62-55-7. Army is on a 2-game winning streak, however. This one played Northwest Stadium in Landover, Maryland. It is 8-3 Navy. They're taking on number 22 and 11-1 Army, a 7-point favorite. Your over-under on this one is 40. Mikey B.
Let's see. I'm gonna go Army. I'll take the over because I think Army's gonna score 40 points by themselves.
Dang. Okay. EJ.
Yeah, I'll go Army as well too, and take the over.
God damn it!
Calm down.
I have
All right. Student of the game.
Both these gentlemen are showing their side hustle in the porn industry because, like Ron Jeremy, they have in fact nailed it. I too am Army and the over. Also reports Notre Dame at that point will then play SMU as they will raise their record thanks to the Army win.
Wow, it's like the first one in like 9 weeks.
It has been a while. Probably because I actually probably said it a few times, but that's besides the point. Sean.
Oh, that was funny.
It was funny.
Man, you guys are insane.
You think?
Man,
You're just finding out?
I'm starting to question my choice here.
Join the dots.
Although I saw the line has moved a half point to 6.5, so like maybe people are with you, which means you're all wrong. Give me the Navy midshipmen. They feel slighted, 8-3. They haven't performed as well, but they always play for this game, and I think it's going to be close. I'm taking Navy because of the 7 points. I don't know if they win, but I think it's closer than 7. I will, however, agree with you on the over because that back and forth is going to push this. I think these teams just score more than they did historically, so I think that line is just very low for what this year has shown me.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't have I should have had some of the recent results pulled up, and I did not. Actually, I do have them real quick here.
While you're looking, Jim, can I ask the degenerates a question? The fact that this is a lone game, does that impact the line in that the public's more involved?
I'm sure it
Possibly,
moves faster
yeah.
than it would this game move that quickly and that often in it? But it's always kind of its own game. I think that it definitely moves more than it would with other games on the slate. But this is still anyone who's been in the military is watching this game.
This game has not gone over 40 points since 2013.
Can I get one of the guys from the industry to chime in, please?
I'm going to tell you that true degenerates will understand that while this may be the only Division I or FBS game, there are FCS games that will be played that will also be gambled on by many people. But I will say that from a mainstream attention of people who are
that's what I'm getting at.
Occasionally bettors or occasionally
your hardrockbet.coms and your
here's a free bet on Army. Here's a free bet on Army Navy. Like you're gonna get people that are going to be more in this game that will make this line swing either way because of the fact that it is the only mainstream game in the upper conferences of college football.
That's what I was. That's what I was thinking. Thanks, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So last year it was 17-11, Army victory, 20-17 in 2022. Navy won 17-13. Going back, Army 15-0, Navy 31-7, Army 17-10. So usually when and again, these offenses are a little bit different. When you see this game close, it usually sticks to the under. For what it's worth, it hasn't gone over 40 since 2013. So
streaks may be broken.
They are. They are.
I just think it's interesting that the guy that allegedly has a podcast in the industry had nothing to say about my fucking question. Speaks volumes. Thank you, EJ Christian.
Oh, I love that. All that said, and Kyle, I will hit this button for myself. If it. Homer. There we go. Anything that can make Notre Dame look better, let's make it happen. Not that it matters at this point anyway, but I will take Army to win, to cover, and I will take the over as well in this one.
Should have joined the dark side, Sean.
We'll see.
We'll see. Maybe he's the only one that'll be right. We will find out. We will find out Saturday afternoon. Kickoff time around 3 p.m. So the way these two offenses work, game will be over around 4:30. So make sure there's a quick watch for you on Saturday afternoon. But I was planning on looking at the NFL playoff picture. We will bump that to next week because we are already almost at 2 hours. But let's move ahead here, guys. to week number 15 in your National Football League season. Bye weeks are over.
Thank God.
At fantasy regular seasons, if you don't have a sadist for a commissioner, those are over because nobody should be playing championships in week 18, especially in this NFL. But let's look at the National Football League week number 15. We start Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern time on CBS. It is the 6-7 Dolphins traveling to the 8-5 Texans. They're a 3-point home favorite. 47 is your over-under. Sean, we'll start with you.
Sorry, I was trying to pull it up as we go. We're at Dolphins-Texans, right?
Yeah.
All right. Dolphins at the Texans. Man, I was so high on the Texans early in the year, but I was even higher on the Dolphins. So getting 3 points, I'm going to take the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are probably going to win this one outright. Let me take that, and in order for them to do that, this is going to push over. So give me the Dolphins and Tua for the over.
All right, student of the game.
This is not easy. I don't want to pick the Dolphins here. The correct answer is the over for this game. Everything else, don't waste your time. But give me the Dolphins. I'll take the L just because I know that the starting O-lineman that even Texans fans loathe is coming back from the IR on the field. The Texans should have lost to the Jags 2 weeks ago. That should tell you everything you need to know. Give me the Dolphins.
All right, EJ.
Already stated, my hot take right now is that the Dolphins will win out rest of the year. The Texans have underwhelmed, as I've said, all year long. Give me Miami win this game outright. But what Kyle said is true. Definitely take the over. That is the best bet of this game.
All right, Mikey B.
So I read some fantasy weird world where if 3 teams lose out and half of the Mason-Dixon line gets hit with a meteor, the Cincinnati Bengals could still make the playoffs. And one of those things was the Texans had to beat the Miami Dolphins. So we're going to take the Texans to win the football game. We're going to take up minus the points. We're going to take the over because if you're taking the under, you live under a rock.
That page you're talking about was EJ Christian's Facebook page, wasn't it?
You're probably not wrong.
Just made that up.
Speaking of homers, in the comment, Devin has the Dolphins.
Good job.
Over. EJ talking about the Dolphins going to be winning out. Bullshit. Give me Texans, and I will take the over as well.
By the way, EJ, 146.43. Clip that if you're angry about it.
All right. Then we move Sunday, 4:25 Eastern time on CBS. Still clinging to life for the playoffs. The Indianapolis Colts are 6-7. They travel to the 8-5 Denver Broncos.
The Denver Broncos.
That's a double soundboarder, gentlemen. The Broncos 8-5. They're a 4-point home favorite. You're over under on this one, 44. Sean.
Well, as you know, I've been high on the Colts for a couple of years here. Had some real aspirations, and that's still alive. However, it's about to get nixed.
Hi-yo!
Denver Broncos and Bo Nix continue to run. I think that defense is playing at a high level. Bo Nix obviously playing at a high level, and just a mishmash of wide receivers playing better than they should. Give me the Denver Broncos and an over-under at 40.
The Denver Broncos.
That's a trap.
That's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
It is.
Christ, I'll go with my gut and take the over, even though that wants me to take the over, and it means the Colts aren't going to score a goddamn thing, and it's going to be the Broncos scoring 42. Take your over. Don't bet the over on this. It's a trap.
Nothing is over.
Student of the game.
Glad to see that Sean is done sniffing the horse glue over there. I love his point about EJ's Broncos. I love his point about EJ's Broncos. Definitely take Sean Payton and that quarterback he made the awesome joke with. I'm stalling to eventually come up and say a slight under.
Perfect. I needed you on the other side.
I know. I kind of did that for you. I'm not going to bullshit.
Well, much obliged.
Love you, buddy.
EJ,
Yeah, those frisky Colts, man. They can't seem to go away, can they? Huh? You know.
And they're not frisky, dumbass.
They are frisky though. They are frisky as hell.
They're more of a lazy dog that won't die.
Yeah, this won't go away, man. They're hanging around. But you know what, Denver? Look, Denver. I'm slowly buying what they're selling now. So Denver off of bye week, especially two. Give me the Broncos to cover the spread and give me the under.
I'm sorry, I wasn't ready for lazy dog that won't die, man. Oh,
Wait, you're buying in on the Broncos?
I'm buying the Broncos. And the
future
under.
look at the Denver Broncos.
Well,
as a Dolphins fan, I hope they lose. But
that one too.
As a Dolphins fan, you hope they lose, but as a Broncos fan, you hope they win. It's very confusing.
There you go. Add team number 47 to EJ's list. Mikey B.
Yeah, what does your calculus experiment up there tell you to pick on this one? What are the?
You don't see is the giant chalkboard on the wall.
I'm envisioning like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's just springs,
like the GIF of the guy with all the math.
He's
Mikey B.
I will take the ever-loving, non-dying cockroaches known as the Indianapolis Colts plus the points, and I will take the under.
I think he's taking advantage of the fact that he's picking after EJ. I think that's what's actually happening here.
Well, that and he needs the Bengals to catch up, and that's one of the teams ahead of him.
So,
Devin has the Colts and the under. He's buying into the
playoffs
potential, apparently.
Somebody's smoking that horse glue. Okay.
No. It's the Denver Broncos, man. Give me them Broncos. Keep it rolling.
Oh, the Denver Broncos.
I would take them and the under in that one. All right, then we go Sunday, 4:25 on CBS. There's a lot of good games this Sunday on the NFL schedule.
Really
by the way, there's ones that we haven't touched on, but Eagles Steelers this week, and there's a lot of meat in this NFL Week 15. So
I like
make sure you plan accordingly. But 4:25 Eastern Time on CBS, it is the 10-3 Buffalo Bills. Coming off a loss, they traveled 12-1 Detroit, who is a 1.5-point home favorite. 54 is your over/under on this one, Sean.
Man, I'll tell you what. The Rams may have set up a little bit of a blueprint here. They also proved my point that when Matt Stafford gets time, Sean McVay is almost unbeatable on the offensive side of the ball if you can block for him. But the Bills got a little bit embarrassed, and they better get used to it because they're going into Detroit, and lack of defense or not, the Bills have shown their defense against teams with a winning record is not super great. They are 1-2 in teams against games with teams with a winning record, and this is the team with the winning record. I don't think that changes. I think it goes to 1-3. Give me the Detroit Lions. I don't care about that 1.5. That's not even real. But I will say this: banged up defense versus possibly overrated defense. This one's going to be a shootout. Give me the over.
All right, see you in the game.
Lions and over.
EJ.
As much as I respect the Bills Mafia, and I really do, the fact that the Lions are only 1.5-point favorites, where's the standard 3 points here? Like, Vegas likes Buffalo here, apparently.
They like Josh Allen.
Yeah, nah, son. Look, hashtag Bills Mafia, I love him, but the Lions come here and they win it convincingly. Give me the Lions to cover and give me the over.
All right, Mikey B.
I wouldn't say that Vegas is in love with Bills Mafia. They just listen to you talk about how bad the Detroit Lions defense was last week. How'd that turn out for you, bud?
They needed a get right week, though, Burn.
Well, they got one.
Yeah, they got right.
They got one.
They smashed the last 6 green toes that were left in the ground in fucking Green Bay. How'd that one work out for you, bud?
Get your mouth shut.
More of the same happens today. Guess what? I don't care if it's Kirby Joseph, Joseph Day, Ryan Day. I don't give a shit who's playing defense for the Detroit Lions. They're going to win today. Give me the Lions and the over.
It's a new day.
Yeah, I mean, Buffalo, not a great loss this past weekend. You can put up a lot of points, but you're going to give up a lot of points.
Where would that drop them on the college football playoff rankings?
They're already out of the top 25.
But Lions still at home here, a chance to. I haven't seen any clinching scenarios. they're in the playoffs, right? Did they clinch a playoff?
Yes, I thought they
Okay.
did.
Who
They
are the
clinched a
Bills?
playoff spot. They Minnesota keeps
Detroit.
winning. Minnesota's right there. You don't want to give them.
No, the Lions are in because the Eagles are in. So they
Yes,
there's no way
definitely.
the Lions aren't.
Yeah, Lions are already in playoffs already.
The Lions have clinched a playoff berth, but because they're only one game ahead of Minnesota, they have not have any kind of divisional clinching scenarios.
Yeah, with a Week 18 matchup between the two.
Correct.
Still ahead of us. So the
Imagine
Lions have to keep winning. They need to fight off the Vikings. So they're going to be motivated at home. You give me a motivated Dan Campbell. Give me my Lions, baby. Let's move to 13 and 1.
10 days for Man Campbell to come up with a game plan too.
That helps.
And I will take the over. Devin has the Lions and the over as well in that one. And then last one, we go to Sunday at 8:20 Eastern time on NBC. The EJ and his how many toes do you have left? Green toes down on the ground. You're
you still walk at this
feeling
point?
those toes.
Well, look, they were competitive against Detroit last week.
0.
Cool story, bro. Answer the question.
I just said 5.
Okay.
The third time.
So you're leaning into the poll a little bit more. Got it.
Yeah.
But the Green Bay Packers, they're 9-4. They're a 3-point road favorite. Almost feels weird to say that at Seattle, with knowing what that place has been over the years. But this is a different Seattle team. They're a 3-point road favorite at 8-5 Seattle. Your over under on this one is 47. Sean,
I hate this because every time I buy into the Packers, they come out mediocre, and every time I give up on Seattle, they come out and play like a dynamic game, give up no sacks,
Bull crap,
for 300 yards, and I don't know how to pick either of these two teams.
Fool me once. Shame on you.
I'm gonna go with the home team. They're getting points. They're at home. It's Seattle. I still love Geno Smith. Give me Seattle. Screw it. I'll take Seattle, and
way to go,
I'm taking over on everything else. Low number 47. Give me the under here.
All right,
I don't know what I'm doing.
Sir, you are the bravest soul of the night.
I'm a win.
And that is with Burns staring me down and doing battle in matters of the SEC still in the recording. Unfortunately, I cannot share you. I cannot
smarter than this. At least I thought so.
And apparently the producer does not care for you to pick either. But I just can't support Geno here. It's not that I love Jordan, but he's the better quarterback. As so long as he doesn't go too Farvian in his gunslinging approach, I do think the Packers win the day. I will take the over, though.
All right, EJ.
I'm gonna say I feel Sean on that one. Like, this game is so frustrating. It's like you believe one team, they do the opposite.
Not bet this game, basically.
Yeah. First off,
stay
nothing here. Whether it's a Packers, Seahawks, or the over under, stay the fuck away from this game. Don't bet this. Don't look at it. Don't consider it. And look, Seattle. Look, they've done their job. Let's go weeks. Every time I've doubted the Seattle Seahawks, they continue winning games. So am I believing them right now? Look, if they're playing MC West, probably I'll blame the MC West. But fucking A. Look, I still got 5 toes down on the Packers. Green, cheesy, Wisconsin cheese toes. Give me the Packers win this game and give me the under. Calm down, Sean.
Mikey B.
Does anybody have a hammer?
I have 3.
Because he's went from 5 toes to 3 toes when I'm done with him. Give me Zach Charbonnet. Give me Geno. Give me the defense of the Seattle Seahawks.
They're playing good.
They're playing good defense. And guess what? The Packers offense looked bad against the mediocre defense in Detroit on Thursday night.
Yeah.
They're
playing tougher against the run than people.
Give me War Sea Chickens and the over.
So what I hear you saying, Bern, is you're picking Charbonnet to hear EJ whine?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
The bold strategy, Kyle.
This guy gets it. This guy gets it.
Man.
This guy gets it.
That was well played. Devin has the Packers and the over. This game sucks.
No, hold on.
To try to pick this game.
There we
sucks.
go. Okay.
It should be a good game.
You could have just stopped after you said this game sucks.
Well, maybe it will. I don't know. Maybe I'm like just fucking psychic. But it's like the Packers probably should win, but then if the Seahawks win, the whole one team already in the NFC title game makes EJ look sillier. War Chickens, let's ride, baby. Let's go Seahawks. Woo! And good God, under. Yeah,
good and evil reunited like a yin and yang.
It'll have to be
around the.
It'll have to be the defense gets the job done.
Can I ask you real quick? I know it's on the list, but how are we feeling about the Eagles Steelers game? Just real quick, because that's a huge game. I'm sorry,
it's a big
Birds.
Game. Is George Pickens going to play in that game? I think that's the biggest question.
I don't believe so. I think the word from Mike Tomlin today, nothing official. If he
doesn't play, it's really Birds.
It doesn't.
I was going to say. I feel like if
it does not sound good.
If he is out, I don't know. And obviously, my hatred aside for that franchise, I will at least give the devil their due. They're finding ways to win football games. Basically, TJ Watt looking at you.
So this was at early this afternoon. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin said George Pickens has a quote outside chance to play.
That's far more optimistic than.
I mean, I think at that point, I would tell myself that I would probably lean towards the Eagles.
Sean, is that game in?
It's in Philly.
In Philly,
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a home game. Oh, it's definitely a home game. I know people tailgating it. Yeah.
Then I would probably myself.
Here's the deal: Sunday again, forecast 5 days out will likely change. 44 degrees, periods of rain. George Pickens ain't playing.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll put the marker on that right now.
If I'm Tomlin, I
risk him.
Yeah, you're not going to risk him on a wet, cold Sunday. You're not in a non-conference game.
You're going to run Najee Harris all day.
I hope so because I want to win in fantasy this week.
And the Eagles aren't going to just let him go somewhere, James.
And only that, it's not really a must-win either for them. So
I mean, it is. It really feels like a must-win, bud.
It's more of a must-win for Pittsburgh than it is for Philly right now.
It's a must-win for Pittsburgh. They play the Eagles, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Bengals. What do you mean it's not a must-win? They're 2 games up. They lose the next 2 games. They're tied with Baltimore, and then they go Kansas City.
Well, that's another reason.
I mean more so in terms of their playoff lives. They're going to the playoffs.
I would much rather play a home game than a road game.
Agreed.
Sure.
I'm just saying.
They'll get Pickens back for that AFC run.
If we're talking about
they're going to rest Pickens. They're going to hope for the best.
Right. If we're talking division and the seeding, yeah, I'm with you on that. But
I mean, here's the deal. You
have the number for over under in front of you there, Jim. You had it.
For what?
I pulled up. I'm going to assume I'm betting under either way.
I can pull it up real quick.
In fact, without knowing whether Pickens is playing, I would say bet it now.
The
42.
Yeah.
Under.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal with the Steelers. Like, I know, like it definitely does kind of have like the feel of a must win. Yeah. But if say you lose this week, the Ravens beat the Giants. That seems fairly obvious. You still have a 1-game lead in the division.
Mm-hmm.
And then you play them next. You play the Ravens next week. If the Steelers win that game, that means you're going to have a 2-game lead with 2 games to go with 2 victories over the Ravens.
They will have already clinched the division then if they win.
Yeah. Right. So like this game, although important, I'm not saying it's not important for the Steelers, but next week's game is
especially when Baltimore finishes.
You lock it up if you beat the Ravens next week.
Yeah, especially because Baltimore finishes with the Texans and the Browns.
Yeah. So this week, although important, next week's the only game. Next week's really the only game the Steelers have to win to guarantee the division. So,
I'm just more concerned about Pickens' health, bigger picture.
Yeah, and that's why if I'm the Steelers, like, because the game is going to be sloppy, so you lean into your front 7 that you can hope can slow down Saquon Barkley on a wet, cold Sunday. Plan on betting the over or the under. Excuse me. It's going to be sloppy. It's going to be a physical battle. But yeah, I would kind of protect my investment of George Pickens for the game that matters much more next week. That's my thought.
Right.
I think the Eagles probably win the game, especially if Pickens is held out, and he probably should be. But
I agree.
Yeah. All right, let's
go Steelers.
I mean, it doesn't fucking.
That's the best news I've heard all day.
I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point, obviously, because the Eagles have already they have theoretically clinched the NFC East. So
Those Cowboys are coming.
Was I supposed to pick? Was I supposed to pick this game? I don't.
No.
We
were just EJ just
Let's do that real quick.
Because we haven't done enough already. All right, let's go to the power ranking.
I was trying to keep out of the frame as the theme because I'm the SEC guy on the panel and Alabama was kept out.
There you go.
I wish we would do that more. Jesus.
Wow.
Damn. Okay. All right. As we do each every week, we look at the power rankings, the top 10, the bottom 5. We will start on the graphic on the right-hand side. EJ, who's your bottom 5 this week?
Not much really changed here, but 28 the Jaguars, 29 the Raiders, 30 the Jets still suck, 31 the Titans, and 32, but should be 38 is the Giants.
I like the bottom 5, EJ. I will tell you that members of the Duval Devout will be pissed you're putting the Jags that high because it means they're going to get a worse draft pick.
Well, they did that. They did that to themselves.
Yeah. Again, listen, to Jim's point, learn a tank.
Hold on. Let's give the Titans their credit. They did plenty to help in that endeavor.
That's fair.
They
know how to tank.
Can we get away from this bottom 5? I mean, this is by far the most. This year, bottom 5 has been the most depressing, probably. We've done.
I mean, here's the deal. I did a similar thing. I moved the Jags up. Everybody else moved down.
I dropped the Jets in. But I will say this: as much as I said before about how the cream started to rise in the 4 and 5, and even the top 10 was easier to pick, I feel like the middle's starting to middle. And I felt there were less teams in contention for the bottom 5 this week. I was like, oh,
yeah, the shit has settled at the bottom of the tank.
Yeah. The shit has settled and the cream has risen.
I mean, the only thing considering that joins the party is the Patriots, maybe. And then
I think I have the Pats in somehow. I don't remember
later. So.
All right, EJ, who's your top 10?
All right, top 10, same 10 as last team. A little bit of tweaking here. 10 Chargers, 9 Broncos, 8 Packers, 7 Steelers, 6 Vikings, 5 Ravens, 4 Bills, 3 Chiefs, 2 Eagles, 1 Lions. As of course, last week Lions were 3. Now they're 1 again. Bills moved on to 4. Chiefs went 1 spot. Ravens stayed where they are. Vikings went up 2 spots. Everything's still the same pretty much.
So Vikings and Packers flipped. Bills fell. Everybody else came up.
Lions went up. Lions went up again.
Giants from Philly. Okay.
Chiefs are too high.
Okay. Again, I'm not bothered by that because again, if anything, what the argument he has here is that the Bills beat the Chiefs. So
I don't like the Chiefs moving above.
I'm not mad about that.
I think EJ is punishing the Bills for the Rams loss, and that's cool. I do expect the Bills to recover next week. That's fine. I'm not going to say I'm full on mad about it. And this week's results could change that. I'm pretty sure that's going to be your response, but I would contend the Packers should be 10. Your thoughts?
Say it again. 10?
Packers at 10.
I mean, Chargers and Broncos though? I don't know.
Here, I think I would feel more comfortable. I don't have them that low. But I think I would probably feel more comfortable with them at 9.
At lowest 9.
Just because the Chargers have lost 2 out of 3 now to good teams. Little banged up. They have lost 2 out of 3. They haven't fallen out of my top 10, spoiler alert. But
rightly so.
Yeah.
I have the Packers at 10.
Okay. I'll say this much, Kyle, to your point.
Yeah.
If that bounce on the fucking field goal doesn't happen, yes. Maybe.
And with all due respect, what the fuck are we doing here? Like,
you can come in that one, but at that point, yeah, it is what it is.
But yeah, so what I'm hearing you say at the very least, regardless of how wrong that part of your rankings are, I'm joking. You're saying I'm at least asking the right question, yeah?
Yes, you are. 8, 9, and 10 are in the pocket of each other. I'll say that much.
I don't know if I'm ready because we just had that conversation about how uncertain we are of the pack. We did not have similar conversation regarding the Broncos and Chargers, and that's all that feeds the question. I'll leave it at that.
Real quick, before we go to the other 3 guys on the panel, Bills Lions next week, obviously big, huge game. Possible Super Bowl preview. Who says? We'll see what happens.
Right.
Bills win against Lions for some reason. Number one, possibly.
I mean, you could reward them for 1-2 that week. I wouldn't be angry at that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. I mean, I have the Bills at 3 if they beat the number 1 team. The only thing that could potentially throw a wrench there a little bit is if, like, say the Eagles would like absolutely dominate the Steelers.
Well, we actually kind of expect that.
I don't expect it to be a dominating game, especially given the weather forecast. Like, I expect that game to probably be somewhere in like the 21-17, 24-14 range. Like, I don't think it's not going to be 47-10. Now, if it is, the Bills beat the Lions, like, the Eagles are probably going to be my number 1 team next week.
Let's make this immeasurable, Jim. If the Eagles win by 2 scores in shit weather, that's a shellacking for all intents and purposes,
yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, if the Bills win, especially if it's close, and the Eagles do that, then Bills will probably be my 2. Eagles will be my 1. I feel dirty, but it is what it is.
It'll be for 1 week. Everybody's getting rewarded or punished.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
There isn't anything here that's egregious on anybody's list. I'm looking at this. Everything is pretty much in. I'm not mad.
Well, he took you down for dropping the Bills to 4, and I dropped him to 5.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
That's a little much. That's a little much.
I mean, that the Vikings at 4. I mean, look,
I just don't believe in the
I'm
Vikings
giving
that much.
Sam Darnold his due and his 4 his big day.
You're
giving him, and I'm punishing the Bills. I'm
yeah.
here.
I think you're being.
Do I really think the Vikings are better than the Bills? No, but the Bills showed vulnerability on defense, and if they do it again, I'm going to hold them accountable.
I think you're showing the Vikings love more than else.
I'm previewing, and I haven't given them a lot of love this year, and I'm just trying to make up for lost time.
So, can't it be both? Can't he prop the Vikings and punish the Bills? Go ahead, Burn.
Fair.
You're giving props to Kirk Cousins for winning another game for the Minnesota Vikings.
Right. This might be his best game for the Vikings.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of the number 10 that low, but I see why you're doing it, so I'm not going to argue about it because they've had some disappointing losses.
I'm kind of high on the other teams, and I'm not super high on the Ravens right now. And they didn't have a chance to do anything for me because they were on bye. So they rev it back up. But I mean, they looked listless against Philadelphia. I just didn't see anything that exciting out.
But you would agree though that if there's like guns you had, they're better than the Chargers, Broncos, and Packers, right?
On paper, yeah, and I think that they would probably beat them head to head, but I think they've been playing flat for 2 weeks, and I'd like to see.
I agree with that. Yeah,
I'd like to see them.
Are we saying that those are playoff games, or are we just saying that those are just random games? Because if it's a playoff game, then I don't know. I think that's as closer than you think it is. Even though I have the Ravens ahead of them, I still think that the Broncos, the Chargers, and
Well, I'm saying, do I think they'll beat them? I'm like, yeah, I think they're close. Like I don't know.
I mean, we kind of got those questions answered a bit in the last 5 weeks. Ravens lost to the Eagles 24-19, beat the Chargers 30-23, lost the Steelers 18-16, beat the Bengals 35-34. They beat the Broncos 41-10. That's their only real convincing win. And then, of course, they lost to the Browns 29-24. So yeah, they've been on a bit of a slide recently.
Hasn't looked great. I didn't like them, and to be honest, they're in little clusters. Lions and Eagles, I was locked in on.
Yes.
And then my 3, 4, 5. I mean, you can make fun of that order all you want, but I was really unsure of the order. I don't know how I'm going to keep the Chiefs high because, they won it sloppily, but they won it, and they're just kind of there. And I got the Vikings on a high and the Bills on a low, so I threw the Bills at the bottom. And then my 7 was right where the Packers belong, and 8, 9, 10 I wasn't sure, so I just picked an order.
I'll be honest, the Packers are harder to actually figure out at this point now. Go ahead, Jim.
So Sean, the way I usually do these, and I don't know if we've ever actually like quantified the question to you, is like if I'm like debating between a couple of teams, like Vikings, Bills, for example, I always play it out in my head. Like if these 2 teams played this weekend, who would I pick to win? Is that how you do it, or is it simply, you're punishing the Bills? You're praising.
To be honest, if you were going to ask me who was going to win that game, I mean, I'd like to think it was the Bills, but I think I'm just a little high on Sam Darnold right now. I'd like to just let him have his moment. And I think there's a chance. I think there's a better chance in my mind that the Vikings beat the Bills this week.
We actually argued
a week ago.
It's funny you said that.
I just put them higher.
No, it's funny you said that because like Kyle and I argued on the podcast today that I said that Sam Darnold may have a better chance for MVP case than Patrick Mahomes does actually this year.
I would agree.
I actually think that's a great point.
I think Sam Darnold is more important to the Vikings
this year
than Justin Jefferson. Hold on. Than Justin Jefferson.
That's the only thing that's hurting him. Is you can take if you take Jefferson away, is Darnold still effective? Because Pat Mahomes has had everything taken away at some point. Like they're all just shifting and dying. And
but the fact they're 11-2, though, I think
here's the deal. Everybody knows who Jordan Addison is. So, like, now, granted, that could also be because of Justin Jefferson.
Right.
See, I would agree with you though on that. If the Vikings were like say 9-5 or 8-6,
the record has nothing to do with that.
But again,
that has nothing to do with the record. The defense also has to play the football game too. In that case,
of course,
I also have to consider a lot of their schedule.
Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, I will also say in the Sam Darnold defense, Justin Jefferson caught a touchdown against the Lions on October 20th, and then didn't catch another one until the Atlanta game.
Right.
So it's like, honestly, I'm not taking it away from Justin Jefferson.
No, go ahead. There's a point there that I got to make. It's not your fault, Mike. Go ahead.
I'm saying there are other pieces aside from Jefferson that hurt Darnold's MVP candidacy.
Yeah, you have one of the best tight ends in the game.
The defense, Hawkinson. Addison. There are multiple pieces that are. I don't want to use the word propping up Sam Darnold, but they're putting Sam Darnold in a.
They have a really good offense.
Correct. The pieces that are around Sam Darnold make it feel like Sam Darnold is the name that throws it to those people or hands the ball off to Aaron Jones, who's finally able to stay healthy now that he's not playing outdoors in Green Bay in the middle of December. That's surprising. But it's almost like at this point, like if you're telling me that the quarterback was Mac Jones and he was putting up those stats, I would be like, is Mac Jones an MVP candidate? Yeah, because he's doing it with all those weapons.
If I'm ever telling you that Mac Jones is putting up numbers, just call the doctor. Okay? I'm having a stroke.
Hey,
remember earlier
I cover the damn guy. You need doctor assistance, please.
Remember, I think it was week 2 or week 3. Remember, I made a comparison about Sam Darnold to Mark Rippon from 1991, the Redskins.
Yes, we all were there.
It's playing out in that way right now. Like it's even more apropos now in week 15.
I don't think Rippon had anybody who was as big a standout on the offense.
Art Monk?
As
I was going to say Art Monk's a pretty big name.
Gary Clark, Ricky Sanders.
Gary Clark, Ricky Sanders. That's a good team.
No, I'm not saying they're not a good team. I'm saying Art Monk was not standing out in the NFL at that time the way that Justin Jefferson is.
Right. No.
Is my point.
I'll give you that. Yes.
Who was their running back on that team? You remember?
Ernest
Biner. That's what I thought it was. Yeah, Biner.
Yeah, Art Monk and Ernest Biner don't stand out to the level.
They also had a better
Justin
offensive
Jefferson
line. Not that the Vikings is bad, but I think they also had a much better offense.
Well, I mean, Art Monk was probably a top 5 receiver in the league at that time still.
Justin Jefferson is probably number 2.
He's number 1 probably in my eyes.
There's an argument.
I mean, there's an argument for him. There's an argument for Jamar. There's an
argument
for Tyrese.
If we're freeze framing 91 and 2024, yeah, I'm with you. I'm just saying Art Monk was no slouch, though. He's a Hall of Fame.
No one said Art Monk was a slouch.
I'm saying.
Everyone here thinks Art Monk is a Hall of Fame caliber receiver. Can we move on now?
Yeah.
Not to be a douche,
well,
but
he's in the Hall of Fame.
Right. He's a Hall of Fame.
Art Monk in 91. Now, granted, a much different National Football League in terms of the way offenses were structured. 71 catches, 1,049 yards, 8 touchdowns.
And that's with Gary Clark and Ricky Sanders, who also
Gary Clark led the team with 1,300 yards. Yep. And 10 touchdowns.
Gary Clark gave me nightmares.
A lot of touchdowns for 1991.
Yeah, especially.
Jettas is at 75 for 1170 and 7.
Right, in a pass-happy era. Mike, I have a question for you.
Yeah,
Mike, I have a question for you. Mike, I have a question for you. Seahawks at 9. Sell me on that.
Yes. I think they're better than the Green Bay Packers.
The Chargers. Who'd you push out?
I pushed the Chargers out, who were 10. Who were 10 last week.
Yeah, to be honest, I probably should have had the Ravens higher than the Chargers because I'm a little on them right now. With the
and the thing is, we talked about it on last week's episode. We said that what would this team look like without J.K. Dobbins? The rush game definitely took a step backwards with Gus Edwards this week. Not that it won't figure itself out because they played. I
was okay keeping them all.
Correct. They played a great defense, an absolute unit led by Chris Jones. Better chance of winning the MVP than Sam Darnold. There, I said it. Enjoy.
Thank you. That actually felt really good.
I've been with you the whole time though. I know.
I know.
But what I will say is that Seattle, for as as they have felt all season, like when you look back at their losses, it's like Detroit.
Yeah.
They're losing to. Yeah, okay. So they lost a shit game that they shouldn't have. Like,
yeah, I know.
But if you also look, they're handling business in their division.
Correct.
I was about to say, can you summarize it by saying you're rewarding them for sweeping the Cardinals? I'm
rewarding them for. I'm rewarding them for playing really good defense the last 4 weeks.
Okay.
No, because Mike, I don't hate it, and in fact, this week they may crack my top 10 if they beat the Green Bay Packers.
Well, and that's kind of the point I was making. If I'm doing this, I have the Packers at 10.
Rightly so.
Right. I have the Packers at 10, and let the Seahawks show me this weekend, because you're just, I think what it is, Burn, is you're just an inch more convinced than I am, and that's okay.
Right. Same here, because for all the stuff I've given the Seahawks all year long, right now in the last month or so, they've proven me wrong. So if they beat the Packers this week, it's a quality team. I have to give them love. I have to give them respect.
Yeah, I mean, it's Seattle. Now, granted, you've played Cardinals, Jets, Cardinals, 49ers in that stretch, but you've given up 20 points one time in 4 weeks.
And here's the thing, too, also. Let's freeze frame 3 weeks ago. Cardinals off a bye week was the hottest team in the division at that point. Seattle beat them twice in 3 weeks. You got to give credit for that.
And in the one game, their defense held them to 6 points. The
Seattle defense. To Mike's
the
point,
Seattle defense scored as many points as the Cardinals did that day.
Seattle beat them twice dominantly. So, yeah.
Bonus points. See, I made a video game reference because it involved Kyler Murray.
I mean, I might be cart in front of the horse on them, and that's okay. But when I look at their losses, two of their losses, Lions, Bills, a tough interdivisional game that they lost by 6 to the Rams. But guess what? Here's the part of the Seahawks schedule where they have an opportunity to stay there. Packers, Vikings, at the Bears, at the Rams.
Absolutely.
Here it is, last 4 games. They got a shot to put themselves permanently in the top 10 here. Will they do it? Will they not? I think that this is a real. I think me putting them 9-10 is whoever wins this game is staying in the top 10. Whoever loses this game is going out.
You say something about putting the cart before the. No, I don't. I'm not going to go that far. I think this is a close enough discussion to where your answer is not wrong. I don't think you're putting the cart before the before the horse per se, because how disappointing have the Packers looked comparatively? Yeah, I get it. They played the Lions, and that's tough. But overall, when lately have you looked at the Packers and said, damn, you haven't?
It's been a
the
while.
Seahawks, you to
I
your
mean,
point,
the Packers fans are probably like,
I don't think there's anything exciting about the Green Bay Packers.
Right now.
Everybody has like you either have a Lamar Jackson or a Joe Burrow, like an exciting quarterback. Maybe you have a Jamar Chase or you have a Justin Jefferson. I can't find the flashy, exciting, sell me a ticket because of this star on the Green Bay Packers. And Jordan Love's like kind of cool, and like Jacobs is very good, and you have 4. What I don't think they have a tier 1 receiver, and people can try to sell me on Jaden Reed all they want. Maybe a few years down the line I'll look silly, but I see 4 like tier 2 wide receivers, which is good.
There, yeah.
Like, I mean, like, who do you cover? I'll pick 3. Good. I'll throw to the other one. Like it's fine. It works for them.
I figured out who to cover.
Don't see a star. I don't see anything exciting that makes me want to buy the Packers, and I think that's why I refuse to. Until they show me something flashy and something exciting, I can't put them any higher.
I mean, to your point, they're at this point, in my opinion, even though I did say that earlier I go see Plantello game, they're probably a tier 3 team at this point.
This is a 2022 Jaguars team is what it is. This is a team that can win a playoff game with the tier 2 set of receivers aforementioned.
Correct. Yes, correct.
I would like to buy a ticket to Green Bay just to watch Christian Watson drop wide open touchdowns.
And he's the closest to flashy that they have. He's got the size. He's got the speed. I think the name's fun. I feel like he has all the things that you want in a star, except hands.
They're literally, I believe their best receiver is not a wide receiver. I believe their best receiver is Tucker Kraft.
He's very good. And to be honest, the best of their 4 tier 2s, I think their best pound for pound is still Romeo Doubs. I just don't think he's ever healthy, and he's small, and it's not the type of receiver that Jordan Love really likes. But man, when he has a matchup, Jordan Love finds him all day. So
I love it.
I'm with you, Sean.
I love it that Byrne thinks the best receiver on a team known as the Cheeseheads is Kraft. That works for me.
There you go.
Stop it.
Good.
Fascinating that
I'm going to stop. I'll stop if you stop.
Fascinating that T. Higgins may have a landing spot even colder than Cincinnati in the offseason.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Not wrong. Anything else?
Dates.
Anything else? Power rankings?
No,
that's about it, man. I mean,
awesome.
Jim, you're pretty high on the Steelers.
Why would you say no and then ask a question?
They're
EJ.
Steelers country.
No,
we're
good. Jim, here's one.
And it stood out right now. I was looking at the last.
Yeah, I mean they're playing really good football. I think if you know,
threw an F-bomb out of it.
If they played this weekend, I would probably pick the Steelers over the Vikings because of the Steelers defense.
I also think Mike Tomlin right now is the leader coach of the year. I think him making that move to Russell Wilson, which at the time was unpopular.
He didn't make a move. He declared him the starter.
Russ finally got healthy.
Was hurt, and he's never, ever kept somebody out after an injury as the starter. So as soon as he was healthy enough to play, he put him in.
But
even though the other guy was winning.
It wasn't popular though. It wasn't popular though at the time.
It might have been unpopular, but they told you every week that it's
goddamn Fields.
Wait. An NFL coach didn't do something based off of the popular opinion. I'm fucking shocked. The guy's only been a winner his entire career.
The fact that they were
so he listened to himself
before that move is why TJ Watt's the MVP candidate on the
same. It's the same Steelers fans that wanted him fired like literally 5 months ago. But okay.
So wait. Are we confusing him with Omar Epps or DJ Khaled? Now I'm fucking confused.
Another one.
They were in like first place with Justin Fields. How does that not make TJ Watt the MVP favorite? I don't know.
Bro,
top 5. He's in my top 5.
Who's been preaching?
Like Justin Fields is sitting there like people think he's like mad. He's like, thank God. I don't have to play this facade anymore.
So is George Pickens. He's like, thank God I have someone that can actually throw me the football.
Exactly. He's been on lock now.
All right, let's close it up this week as we always do. We look ahead to the weekend that will be with our weekend locks.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
All right, we look ahead to one thing that will happen this weekend. Mikey B, what will happen this weekend?
Chaos grenades will ensue. The Cleveland Browns plus 4.5 take Patrick Mahomes II to the limit. And it's a late Jameis Winston interception. The Chiefs barely survive. But
Lord, heal me for pick sixes.
But they do not cover the 4.5. Give me the Browns plus the points.
I like it. That's consistency if nothing else.
I don't know about your fence sitting take picking the Chiefs winning another close game.
Speaking of fence sitting, EJ, what's going to happen this weekend?
My lock of the week is that despite a loss this week, Josh Allen will inch closer to wrapping up the MVP conversation by throwing for another 300 yards. It's Detroit Lions.
All right.
Lock it up.
Student of the game.
You know, I like that you got a lock for a team that wears orange burn, but you got the wrong one. For me, lock up Tennessee handling business and giving Jim a chance to celebrate as his favorite colored-haired individual goes home early and gets fucking fired. And when Jim realizes, it'll be kind of like a wife that got divorced, but then realized she's not getting child support. He'll celebrate Ryan Day being fired and then realize that Michigan will have to play against possibly a better coach.
Well, that's true. That's true. But, and I know Sean and I were talking about this over the weekend, a name that has been around some Ohio State message boards is a guy who took a trip down south. Trip hasn't been as good as he's liked. Brian Kelly to Ohio State. And we know how he does in big games. Oh, that's right. I did it.
So,
but we don't talk shit on Brian Kelly on this show, Jim.
Absolutely, we do not.
No, we love.
Kyle, are you gonna double down on that lock it up? Because that's next week's game. That's not this week. They don't play till next weekend.
Oh yeah, that's right. Damn.
I mean, I appreciate it. Like,
I appreciate it. Well, put that
double
one
lock
on
it
ice.
up, baby.
Put that one on ice. Keep it
you
fresh
know what?
for next
I'll
week.
say that, and And I'll look up Army handling business, damn
There
it.
you
How
go.
about that?
Yeah, put Ryan Day's hair dye on ice. It'll stay fresh for next week.
It'll be even pinker. Is that
There
it?
you go. Sean, what's going to happen this weekend?
Man, I had a rough time too, Kyle. I couldn't find anything this week. I was looking for matchups, just couldn't find them. But I found something interesting. I didn't get a complete list of who has rushed for 100 yards or close against the Steelers, but it has to be a small list. The Pittsburgh Steelers have averaged. They've given up on average a 91.54 yards rushing per game. My lock of the week is that Saquon Barkley versus TJ Watt for MVP. Saquon Barkley wins. He rushes for enough yards to bring that average to 100.
Keep it going.
Homer.
There it is.
Get enough yards to bring the average to. That's probably 160, 170 yards. Lock it up.
By the way, go ahead, Jim. Before you,
Homer.
Keep hitting it.
Thank you for letting me run my own show. This weekend, after trailing to the Raiders at halftime, the Falcons will finally bench Kurt Coupons in prime time, no less. And Michael Penix Sr. III will lead the Atlanta Fraud Cons to a victory on Monday night.
I have found one 100-yard rusher so far in the Pittsburgh docket. Tyrone Tracy.
I thought he might have had one.
New York
he had a good game against them.
New York Giant, huh?
100. It was like 164 yards or something in that game.
I mean, if we're being real, they're daring Danny Dimes to throw, so they're probably not stuffing the box.
Exactly. Real quick though, before we go, I'm looking at the schedule overall. This is probably the only time I've ever seen the 4 o'clock slate across the board much better than 1 o'clock slate.
4 o'clock slate is strong.
There is not
you
one.
haven't been looking hard enough.
Listen. There is not really one intriguing game on the 1 o'clock slate this week.
Yeah, there is. Bengals Titans.
Cowboys Panthers, have some goddamn respect.
Listen, 4 o'clock slate. Bills Lions, Eagles Steelers, even Bucks and Chargers.
I like that game.
I mean, the fact that there's 5 games in the 4 o'clock slate is wild enough. All of them starting at 4:25, by the way. You don't even have a 4:05 start, because usually you only get like 3, maybe 4 4 o'clock games, and there's usually one really good one, the game of the week.
Yeah.
I agree with
your Falcons pick. Maybe not the Penix thing, but I agree with it because I think that's why this game for the Bucks is incredibly important against.
If I'm an NFL, I move the Eagles game back to 1 o'clock.
They can't lose it.
Aren't you intrigued by Mac Jones battling ayahuasca?
Aren't you intrigued by Jameis Winston throwing another pick 6 to the Kansas City Chiefs?
I almost predicted Jameis Winston to beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Honestly, the best game of the 1 o'clock slate is the Dolphins-Texans game, honestly. That's it.
And that's why we picked it.
God damn.
The best of the 1 o'clock slate is Baltimore versus the Giants, because an alleged Giant fan will get probably run over by Derrick Henry also.
Thank God. The tank continues. Let's go.
You're not a Giants fan. Why are you celebrating?
For 300 yards in that game.
Love it. All right. Good Lord. I did not anticipate
a long one.
A 2.5 hour show.
It is what it is.
Did not anticipate a long one, and me and EJ's wife have something in common. Sean, let people know where they can follow you.
You're an asshole, Jim.
I know.
Doesn't make him
That's
wrong.
not where people can follow me, EJ. Although I've said it many times. Anyway, you want to follow me? Just drive around St. Petersburg. I'm pretty easy to find. My car is a piece of crap. Very easy to see. But if you want to follow me on the intraweb, you're going to have to go to Twitter. You're going to have to find @SeanShineState. See me over there. I've been sharing some pretty funny memes, things like that. Haven't shared a ton of personal takes, but that's what this show's for. Otherwise, you got a big weekend going up. Welcome to the playoffs. Go Birds. F the Steelers. Should be a fun weekend.
Student of the game.
Go Birds. We're cheering that hard for Michael Penix. Oh, sorry, wrong Birds. Honor, joy, and privilege once again to do the show, guys. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. That's right. I'm trying to be one of the cool kids too, @the_SOTG. Find me on Facebook as a student of the game. Check out my writings on the Fans First Sports Network. I'm going to have to write up a little bit of something on the Orlando Magic in their first NBA Cup game there in Milwaukee, how that went and how did they do without both their top stars. That's intriguing. Not to mention all the ish I have to talk on the Jags and dealing with both the Duval Devout and the Travis Hunters in the fan base. Check that out as well on Fans for Sports Network. Not to mention the Duval Dive Wednesday night, 7:30, as well as an instant reaction after the game Sunday with my guy, Travis D. Holmes of Big Cat Country. And of course, after that on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, the Student of the Game pod, I will wax poetic. Some things that we actually didn't touch on tonight, I will touch on Wednesday. And then also the Black and Gold Banneret covering things surrounding Scott Frost's return, him staffing up at big time. Of course, Eric Lopez wrote his column about Scott Frost's return. Bryson Turner wrote a piece about bringing in Mackenzie Milton as the quarterback coach. All crazy stuff. Shaquem Griffin maybe linked with a defensive position. We'll check that out. All that going on. Make sure you go to blackandgoldbanneret.com or check out the Night Shift podcast on the Black and Gold Banneret YouTube channel. Gentlemen, we reached 1,000 subscribers on that front, so make sure you check that out. If you want to talk UCF football or basketball, I can guarantee you I'm doing either of them there. Until next time, everyone, class dismissed.
Very good. EJ.
Each 7 on Blue Sky and Twitter and Threads. Ernest Podcast across all podcast catchers. YouTube page at youtube.com/Ernest Christian. And another great and long episode. Love it.
There you go, Mikey B.
You can follow me on Twitter at They Call Me Burn. I may or may not have done something that I shouldn't have. I may or may have not applied for credentials to be a member of the media for the Boca Raton Bowl as a member of Huddle Up Incorporated. I don't know. We'll see if I get an email back. That is actually next Wednesday down at FAU in Boca. So we'll see if I get an email back from them. Otherwise, good show, guys. I'll go so we can get the fuck out of here.
If you're successful, make sure you let me know. We'll talk it up on the Student of the Game podcast.
We'll do.
There you go. Yeah, good luck, Burn. Look at that. I like that. You can follow me at Big Jim Sports. I'm on Blue Sky. You can get the show on all of our social channels. We are at Huddle Up Podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok while it is still with us. We have our Instagram page. We're at Huddle Up Podcast Inc. We're at Huddle Up Inc. on Twitch. We, of course, are on all podcast platforms, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, and more. Rate and review where you can there. Again, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Share all of that with your friends. You can get our merchandise over at tpublic.com. Until next week, we still have decisions to make about how we're going to tackle the holidays because Tuesday nights are Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So we may have a bridge schedules or pre-tapes or something for those, but stick to our social media for the announcements there. Until next week, though, stay safe, stay smart, and as always, go for the win.